My dad made me choose one of the 10 goddesses to marry. This video is purely for entertainment and does not violate copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and the image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chapter 226. Jiognan Rich Family. Early the next morning, Zhuowen opened her eyes as usual and felt that she slept very well yesterday. The bones in my body are a little sore now. Suddenly, his face turned red and he shouted angrily, "Get out! Remove your claws!" After saying that, he found that Fen Lin not only refused to leave, but even scratched him several times. Asshole! Zhuowen reached in and pinched hard. "Ah!" came a woman's voice from the other side. Jinguji's hair was messy and he sat up. Zhuowen, who was still blushing at first, suddenly darkened when she saw her here. She kicked the quilt away. Fen Lin was still sleeping here with his body hunched over and it happened to be squeezed between them. "Why are you here?" Zhuowen pointed at Jinguji and shouted. "It should be normal for me to be here, right?" "Why are you here?" Jinguji asked. I will fight for you. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" The two kicked each other, kicking Fen Lin from time to time. "Shit. Are you going to let me rest?" Fen Lin sat up suddenly, looked at the two people around him, and narrowed his eyes slightly. He immediately put on his shoes wisely, took his coat, and prepared to leave. "Stop. Who told you to leave?" Zhuowen looked at Fen Lin with a cold tone. "Boss. I feel that this woman has no need to live. Let me take her." Jinguji's face showed murderous intent. "Okay. You are all my wings, stop arguing." Fen Lin smiled at the two of them. "Who are your wings?" "You, Fen Lin, your dirty thoughts have finally been exposed. Boss, you actually let me sit on equal footing with this kind of trash. I'm so sad." Fen Lin dug his ears. He just ran away. He couldn't help but shake his head. Which man said that having 3 wives and 4 concubines was very satisfying? Has no sense. 2 of them are like that. If there are a few more of them and they don't fight every day, don't even think about living a quiet life. He went out to the patio, stretched a little and moved his muscles. Last night's deep sleep allowed Fen Lin to recover from all the hard work of the past few days. "Good morning." And BYD Han stopped in front of Fen Lin Villa. The driver's window rolled down and Zhao Yu greeted Fen Lin. "I haven't seen you for a few days. How are you?" Fen Lin walked over and asked with a smile. "What else can you do? Work hard. You should go to the business meeting for North-South cooperation today, right?" Zhao Yu asked with a smile. "I heard that Wenrunxi will also go there." North-South cooperation. Fen Lin looked confused. "You don't know. The national staff of Jiangbai and Jiognan are working together to build the Huajian Rice Plan, and major enterprises in Jiangbai and Jiognan will participate." After Zhao Yu finished speaking, he waved his hand. "I'll leave first. Today will be very busy." Fen Lin shook his head gently. He was not interested in this at all. While eating breakfast, Zhuowen looked at Fen Lin and said, "There is a business party today. Come with me." "I don't want to go." Fen Lin shook his head. "You should go. If you don't go, I will beat you." Zhuowen slammed the table and said viciously, "You are so fierce." "I'm fierce. What's wrong?" "I tell you, I am your legal wife. Don't associate with those shady women in the future." Zhuowen was very angry and Lan Ru finally left. "Here comes another more difficult one. We must find a way." After breakfast, Fen Lin took Zhuowen's car to the company. Fen Lin did not follow him upstairs and sat on the sofa in the hallway to watch the news. Tan Hong, who had finished his work here, came to the opposite side of Fen Lin and whispered, "Fen Lin, I'm sorry, Mr. Zhu." "What's wrong, and?" Fen Lin asked strangely. "There was a gangster who pretended to be your friend and asked me where Mr. Zhu was. I told him directly, which caused Mr. Zhu to be injured." Tan Hong always wanted to find a chance to apologize, but he couldn't. "I don't say it. I know this matter. She doesn't take it seriously at all," Fen Lin said with a smile. "I'll talk to her later." "Thank you, Fen Lin." Tan Hong felt uncomfortable after listening to Fen Lin's words at few. Fen Lin looked at Tan Hong's back. Her current demeanor was completely different from before. Now she walked with her head held high and her chest high, showing the mature and beautiful temperament of a beautiful woman who was embarrassed to wear this kind of office uniform before. At this time, Zhuowen walked out of the elevator. She had a cold face and was carrying a black bag. The originally idle room quickly became crowded when she saw her coming. Dignified in the company. This time Fen Lin drove and took Zhuowen to the party venue, a large hotel owned by the Zhao family. All expenses were borne by the Zhao family. Parking the car in the parking space, Feng Lin helped Zhu Ruoying open the door in a very gentlemanly manner. When Zhu Ruoying first appeared, everyone around him immediately gathered to watch. Zhu Ruoying's company has been in the spotlight recently. That kind of magical high-end skincare products, after achieving results, immediately launched several common skincare products that are close to the people. In reality, the effect is similar to what is on the market, but because your company already has a reputation, even common skincare products sell well. Zhu Ruoying and Feng Lin walked into the hotel together. The decoration here is very luxurious, and there were a crowd of people chatting. The waiters brought red wine and food and gave them to the merchants free of charge. Mr. Zhu is here. I have been waiting for him for a long time. It is better to be famous than to know him. I have heard about Mr. Zhu's magical cosmetics in Jiangnan. Mr. Zhu, when will the new batch be online? You don't know. My wife cried and wanted to buy it, and finally spent more than $1 million to buy it. Zhu Ruoying had just arrived and a few well-known businessmen in the distance gathered around. Feng Lin did not interrupt Zhu Ruoying's chat and found a place just to sit here, drink wine and eat snacks. At this moment, everyone who was chatting stopped. I saw a middle-aged man with short hair and a Chinese character walking outside. As soon as he entered, his eyes locked on Zhu Ruoying. Everyone around him was talking a lot. It's Zhang Yali, the head of the Shang family in the south of the Yangtze River. I heard that his son Zhang Huiming was detained by the police station in Jiabai. I heard from the gossip that Zhang Huiming wants to steal the recipe of the Starlight Group. After all, Zhang Yali is. Everyone present only dared to whisper about the rich family head. Isn't this the legendary Mr. Zhu? I have admired him for a long time. Zhang Yali walked towards Zhu Ruoying and extended her hand with a smile on her face. Zhu Ruoying did not extend her hand, just nodded slightly. Hello? Mr. Zhu is so arrogant. You make me feel very embarrassed. Zhang Yali did not lower her hand and extended it to Zhu Ruoying. The people who originally surrounded Zhu Ruoying quietly retreated. The Shang family is a rich family and they cannot afford to offend them. Obviously, today Zhang Yali is looking for trouble. Zhu Ruoying's eyebrows knitted together. Just as she was about to speak, Feng Lin walked over with a glass of wine and took Zhang Yali's hand. Hello, Mr. Zhang. Who are you? I'm shaking hands with Mr. Zhu, who told you to touch me. Stay away. Zhang Yali shook off Feng Lin's hand with an indifferent expression. The people around shook their heads secretly. This kid didn't even look at him and didn't see Zhang Yali angry. Isn't it just a matter of scolding me if I flatter you at this time? Haha, Mr. Feng Lin, we meet again at this time. Two elders came from a distance, namely Zhao Xi and Zhao Cheng from the Zhao family. Zhao Xi was sitting in a wheelchair and Zhao Cheng pushed her in front of Feng Lin, reached out and took Feng Lin's hand. Everyone around him was shocked. Zhao Xi is the real controller of the Zhao family. The Zhao family is also a rich family. This young man actually asked the head of a wealthy family to take the initiative to shake his hand. Is he also of noble status? Chapter 227 Zhu Ruoying's little thoughts. Zhang Yali's face changed drastically and became gloomy. He is not afraid of the Zhao family. The Zhao family is a rich family, just like the Shang family. He was called Feng Lin. After her son was jailed, she called him. The culprit of everything is a man named Feng Lin. So you're Feng Lin. Zhang Yali nodded vigorously. Very good, very good. After saying that, he walked to the dining table in the distance and sat quietly drinking red wine. All enemies are here. Then I might as well let the big boys come. Thinking of this, he took out his mobile phone and sent a message. Mr. Feng Lin, all the rich families in Jiangnan are in trouble, Zhao Xi said with a smile. Haha, he's so handsome. Feng Lin simply shook his head, sat back down, and tried some snacks. The people around him considered it a farce and began to gather to chat again. Everyone knew there would be 2 Big Macs at this party. Everyone is waiting for you. Hidden family. Their business is not within the province, but has spread throughout the country. If they were not invited by the local Ministry of Commerce, they would not attend such meetings. The conflict between Zhu Ruoying and Zhang Yali just now made the people who were chatting before not dare to introduce themselves again. Even if this kind of wealthy family is unhappy, it is better not to provoke them if they can. Zhu Ruoying didn't care either. She sat next to Feng Lin and waited quietly. This time he had only one purpose: to find a way to establish a relationship with the lonely Jiangnan family. In this case, we can also fight the Wang family. Although Feng Lin's comrades were very strong, she felt that they were not as strong as the Hidden World family. She is very good at reading people. From some diet and daily life, we can roughly guess what level these people are at. Several people on Yishin's side had nothing to do. A fat nerd who plays all day. a stinky woman who gets into other people's beds every night. If I paint all day, the key is not very good. What great achievements can a person like this, who has no job and is lazing around, achieve? From what Mr. Meng Changsheng said, he was old and retired after all. What's more, Zhou Wang wants to be independent and will help Fen Lin solve problems in the future. It was not his style to blindly ask Fen Lin and Yi Shen for help. Ha ha ha. No one came to greet me. A cheerful voice came from outside. Everyone turned around and saw Wang of the Wang family walk in. Beside him was his daughter, Wang Linger. The Wang family is here. This is the future heir of the Wang family. When the people around saw this, they all walked towards Wang. Zhou Wang did not move, she sat here and clenched her fists. I found out that people from the Wang family had arrived, and all the bigwigs who were chatting in the private room of the place appeared. The head of the Wei family, Wei Zhen. Yi Zhan from the Yi family, and of course Zhao Xi from this friendship between owners. Joining the three are the heads of the Jiangbai and Jiangnan departments of commerce. Everyone bowed their hands to Dagon and expressed their welcome. Wang Linger looked around and saw Fen Lin at a glance. He walked over with a smile and sat next to Fen Lin. Zhou Wang took a deep breath, took the initiative to hold Fen Lin's arm, and declared her ownership. Wang Linger raised her eyebrows. Zhou Wang, didn't I tell you to leave Fen Lin? Why are you still holding on? After what happened with Fen Lin last time, although she still didn't like Fen Lin, she didn't like Fen Lin either. I hated it. You can try it with Fen Lin. As for the Wang family, they were even happier. No one can order me around. Whoever I am with is my freedom. Zhou Wang was still a little shy around the Wang family. He is cowardly, not because he is afraid that the Wang family will teach him a lesson. What he feared was that his parents in the Wang family would fall out because of him. You're quite powerful. Do you know what the purpose of my father coming here this time is? Wang Linger held her chin and said calmly. Zhou Wang turned around and found Wang Di and the person in charge of the Department of Commerce walking towards the private room in the distance, chatting and laughing. His face gradually turned pale. Could it be that he wanted to use the power of the country? He still remembered when Fen Lin asked Lan Ru's grandfather to put pressure on the Zhu family. It would be too easy to use the power of the Ministry of Commerce to trip up a company. I just don't know if the Wang family has Mr. Lan's ability. HNPH. Are you afraid? You'd better quit. After all, we are relatives and I don't want to go too far. Wang Linger casually took a piece of dessert from the plate. Don't think it's just your lonely family. Zhou Wang gritted her teeth and tightened her voice. He still hasn't sold half of the goods that Fen Lin gave him. In the worst case, the other half will be given to the Hidden family in Jiangnan. You want to defect to the Jiangnan family. How dare you? Wang Linger's pale and pretty face suddenly became gloomy. They are our enemies and you are half of the Wang family. You must understand the consequences of surrendering to you. Still have the nerve to say that. Am I from the Wang family? Do you put so much pressure on your own family? Zhou Wang's voice was low, and it seemed that Wang Linger was scared. In this way, the cooperation between Zhou Wang and the Jiangnan Hidden family is further strengthened. At that time, two people came out, headed by a middle-aged man with half-white hair. He is wearing a suit, has a crew cut, a face of Chinese character, and is tall and majestic. Next to the middle-aged man is a beautiful dressed woman. Seeing the woman here, many men and women present gathered around her. Miss Wenren, can I take a photo with you? My daughter likes you very much, can you give me an autograph? The woman is Wenren Xi, and as for the middle-aged man with the Chinese character and a face next to him, it is his father, Wenren Xin. The halo effect is also an advantage in Fen Lin's opinion, although Wenren Xi was very beautiful, there was still a gap between her and Zhou Wang, especially in terms of body shape. But compared to Zhou Wang, everyone obviously admires her more. It's because of his aura. Why is Wenren Xi here? Zhou Wang frowned slightly. She was very swollen now. As long as they were Fen Lin's fiancés, they couldn't help but want to beat them up. Shouldn't I come? No, Zhou Wang, don't you still know which hidden family is coming from Jiangnan this time? Wang Linger suddenly asked. Zhou Wang shrugged, I don't know. You're the only one who still cooperates. I heard that they are from a reclusive family in Jiangnan. Wang Linger rolled her eyes. She didn't do her homework before cooperating. Do you really think he's leaving you? Especially Zhou Wang is still half of the Wang family. What? Zhou Wang covered her mouth in shock. The hidden family he wanted to cooperate with turned out to be Fen Lin's fiancé. It's a shame to cooperate. Zhou Wang pinched Fen Lin tightly. This bastard doesn't care if he has more fiancés. The key is that everyone is in noble status. Thinking about it, until now he also met Fen Lin's fiancé. It seems that apart from Takion, his status is the most trash. His Fen Lin took a deep breath and pinched Zhu Ruan's butt. What are you doing? Zhu Ruan puffed her mouth in grievance. All her plans were ruined. He couldn't join hands with Fen Lin's fiancée to deal with Fen Lin's other fiancée. Thinking of this, Zhu Ruan suddenly narrowed her eyes. Hey. This method seems good. Let Fen Lin's fiancé fight while he and Fen Lin watch a show. Chapter 228. Go ahead. People from the commercial department and others from far away came to greet him. Pick up Wen Renqi and Wen Renxi. Haha, Mr. Wenren, I am fan of your daughter. I like her piano music the most, a person from the Ministry of Commerce said with a smile. Haha. Honey, everyone accepted, let's play a song. Wen Renqi looked at his daughter with a smile. Okay, Wen Renxi nodded slightly and walked towards a piano in the distance. She sat in front of the piano, her slender jade fingers dancing over the keys like elves. Wen Renqi went to a distant private room with some important people. The music played slowly from shallow to deep. This is Wen Renxi's own piano music, which is very calm. It seems to make people feel calm and relaxed. The music has layers that attract the attention of everyone present. The sound of the piano wins. Everyone stood up one after another and made a thunderous sound. It sounds so good. Listening to this kind of music live is a pleasure. That's how everyone behaves. China is very lucky to have musicians like that. Miss Wenren, what are you going to have concert? Then I will bring my family there. Wei Kanyang walked forward with a fond look on his face. Now he has no hope for Shamu of the Shao family. But this time I met a better one. If Wen Renxi could get married at home, who the hell would want the Shao family? Can the Shao family be compared to the Wen family? Everyone around him was beaming with excitement and his comments about Wen Renxi were like a torrent of river water. When everyone praises, someone who doesn't praise will get a lot of attention. Wei Kanyang, who was about to continue approaching, found Fen Lin playing with his mobile phone. The corners of his mouth suddenly raised slightly. The Wei family can't afford to offend Yishin, but it's okay to listen to others, right? In order to become a hidden family, there are many masters in the family. At least there's a master level in charge. What's more, Wen's connections go beyond what Yishin can compare. Brother, why don't you clap? Weren't you moved by the sound of Miss Wenren's piano? Everyone was praising Wen Renxi, and Wei Kanyang's words immediately attracted everyone's attention. Wen Renxi looked along and was surprised. He didn't expect Fen Lin to be here. Not only that, but he also sat with Wang Linger. Fen Lin turned a deaf ear. He was reading a novel and didn't care at all. Fen Lin with her elbow. She immediately stood up with a smile. Miss Wenren's music surprised us all. How could we bother to applaud? It must be said that she is very good at this level, well. But Wei Kanyang was afraid that the world would not be in chaos. He approached Fen Lin with a glass of wine and looked at his mobile phone. So I was reading a novel. Isn't Miss Wenren's music good? Music not bad, pretty good. Average, Fen Lin replied casually and looked at the phone again. Pretty average. One stone raises 1,000 waves. Your boy is slapping everyone present. Everyone praises you. What are you saying here? Wei Kanyang laughed madly in his heart. Do you really think that with Yishin's support you will be invincible and able to do whatever you want? This time it is a hidden Jiaodan family. Zhu Ruan wants to suffocate Fen Lin to death, do you believe it? Although he looked down on Wen Renxi, his musical skills were solid. Concerts held abroad are always full. Many senior music students praised Wen Renxi as a late wave. If she weren't still young, her current masterpiece would be enough to make her a master. Fen Lin's evaluation was average. Why are you talking? Did you really say that Miss Wenren's music is normal? Come on. That's right. If you can, come and let everyone enjoy it. I don't think you even know the notes, do you? The people around were angry and accused Fen Lin. I think it's also normal, Wang Linger said lightly. You can't have people tell the truth, right? Wang Linger. Everyone who was still shouting closed their mouths. The Wang family where Wang Linger lives is also a lonely family. Not only that, Wang Linger is rumored to be a genius. Wei Kanyang's face was pale. When did this guy Fen Lin get involved with the little princess of the Wang family? Zhu Ruan looked at Wang Linger and was thinking about it in her heart. He was originally someone who refused to admit defeat. If something happened to her man, of course she would have to defend him. There is no need for an outsider like Wang Linger. But this time he plans to cooperate with Wen Renjia. No. Grandpa, if you don't cooperate, you must not lose to Wang Linger. Autumn. Miss Wenren is actually very good. Mainly because we have heard better ones, so Miss Wenren is at a disadvantage. Zhu Ruan said calmly. Who said my daughter's piano skills are normal? At this time, Wen Ranqing, who was in the private room, came out and looked around and asked. Wei Kenyan felt very happy. Fen Lin, you're done. Huh. Fen Lin. Wen Ranqing followed everyone's gaze and saw a familiar person. He approached with a surprised expression on his face. Originally, he only knew Fen Lin's name, but not his appearance. But there were scandals between Fen Lin and Wen Ranqi. He specifically investigated Fen Lin's identity and found out what Fen Lin looked like. Wen Ranqing's move surprised everyone again. Especially Wei Kenyan. Even if he knows the Wei family, he even knows the people of the Wen family. Could it be that Fen Lin is also a member of the Hidden World family? Zhang Yeli's expression changed slightly as he drank in the distance. It seemed like this boy was unusual. He immediately took out his cell phone and sent a message to the teacher he had found. He is not stupid enough to provoke Wen Ran. Especially their Fang family's territory was originally in Jiangnan. But this matter must not be forgotten. In private, he has countless ways to resolve Fen Lin. When Wen Ranqi saw this, his face was filled with disgust. He couldn't let his father say that Fen Lin was his fiancé in front of everyone. This could easily affect your reputation. She and Fen Lin had no feelings for each other. They had forgotten about marriage and seemed to want to talk to her father in private. Since you said that my music is normal, come and let me watch it. Wen Ranqi stepped forward and grabbed Wen Ranqing's arm to prevent him from chatting with Fen Lin. Wen Ranqing laughed, but he didn't expect that it was Fen Lin who just said that she was like a daughter. It seems like my daughter has a bit of a temper. Okay. Then I'll take one. Fen Lin put the phone in his pocket and walked towards the piano in the distance. His father is a doctor by profession and music is his hobby. He said it was through music that he found my mother. When he was a child, he taught Fen Lin many musical instruments and told him that he could use them when he grew up and found a wife. He also learned a lot. Sitting in front of the piano, Fen Lin placed a hand on it. Since I haven't played it in a long time, it feels messy and without rhythm. Haha. That's it. Do you know how to do it? Come down. Don't be embarrassed. Even if you know Mr. Wenren, I still have to say that you are not even as good as an ordinary person, let alone Miss Wenren. Wei Kenyan cursed secretly. Damn, Grandpa, you are so skilled at flattering me. At this time, Fen Lin also put his other hand on the piano keys. Moment. Everyone's eyes widened. With the combination of the other hand, it turned out to be a complete piece of music. There is order within chaos, chaos within order. Fen Lin gradually found the feeling and controlled each syllable precisely. Something terrible happened. Fen Lin's hands were actually playing different music. One is passionate, the other is tragic. They are obviously different, but under Fen Lin's clever control, they merge. It makes people feel immersed in it. The music speeds up and everyone starts breathing quickly, the music slows down and everyone calms their breathing. This music seems to have soul and controls everyone's emotions. It ended in tragedy. No one applauded, everyone froze on the spot. Because they were still in the music a moment ago and didn't react. This, Kagura. Chapter 229 Do You Like Me? Many people found themselves crying. This is music that touches the soul. Grandma's. Trash music. It's not as good as Miss Wenren's, Wei Kenyan said as he wiped away his tears. For some reason, he thought about his dead mother. Even though he said this, in the end he couldn't help but follow that crowd, making a thunderous sound. This music is simply a masterpiece. This music should only exist in heaven. Zhuang also wiped away her tears because she remembered the moment when her grandfather passed away. Unexpectedly, Fen Lin had such musical talent. The most surprised person present was Wen Ranqi. A layman observes the emotion, an expert looks at the door. Only she, a professional, knows how powerful today's music is. He stepped forward and couldn't help but ask, I have never heard of this music. Who created it? What is it called? It is an unknown elder. Her name is she, and the word she next to the feminine word the character is she. This piece of music was composed when Fen Chen took Fen Lin to search for his mother's whereabouts. The music tells the story of both of their experiences. It ended in tragedy. Fen Chen said that he would write the next part after finding Fen Lin's mother. If it can't be found, there will never be a bottom. I'm ashamed of myself. I'm far behind you. Wen Ranqi bowed his head very respectfully. He had special feelings for music. He didn't expect that frivolous Fen Lin to have such a side. Don't put yourself down. What I said before is the truth. Your skills are not bad, just average. After Fen Lin finished speaking, he walked downstairs and sat back down in his seat. Now this one is pretty normal. It's a compliment. The banquet continued, but the topics of conversation revolved around the previous music and Fen Lin. Fen Lin was not interested in this kind of banquet. I spent the time reading novels and finally got to the end. He followed Zhu Ruoying and left together. The two were about to get into the car when YD and Weilinger approached from a distance. Next to them were Wen Renqing and Wen Renxi. Although the two are competitors, with the help of the state, they are willing to cooperate temporarily. Make money, not bad. Haha, Fen Lin, I didn't expect you to be so successful in music. YD walked over with a smile, patted Fen Lin on the shoulder, and introduced. Mr. Wen Ren, this is Fen Lin, my Lin. Fianc. Wen Renqing's expression suddenly changed and he said in a deep voice. Did you do it on purpose? Fen Lin is obviously my daughter's fianc. YD. Fen Lin is obviously my man. Zhu Ruoying grabbed Fen Lin's arm and pulled him into the car. Drive away immediately. YD. Wen Renqing. Wen Renqing, were you trying to embarrass me? My daughter is already engaged to Fen Lin. YD. I think it was you who left. I'm ashamed. It's my daughter who got engaged to Fen Lin early. Both their faces darkened. It seems that our two families can no longer cooperate, YD said coldly. Who was willing to cooperate with you? Wen Renqing refused to budge. Dad, Fen Lin doesn't feel anything. For me. I don't think there's any need to fight with him. It's not that your daughter can't get married. Originally, Wen Renxi had no feelings for Fen Lin. But just now his mood changed. Where can I find a close friend? If my partner also likes music in the future, it would be a good idea. However, Wen Renxi is also a proud woman. Fen Lin didn't like her, so why should she force him? Daughter, you don't understand. Fen Lin's father is a miracle doctor. The old man's wounds were healed by others. A gentleman's words are difficult to follow, as your grandfather swore, Wen Renqing explained seriously. YD's eyes changed a little. He didn't expect Fen Lin's father to be a miracle doctor. Could it be that expert is Fen Lin's father? I need to take time to ask my dad. When the expert treated Weilinger, he was not present. I don't know what that person is like. They must be father and son. Thinking of this, YD became more determined and must let Fen Lin marry his daughter. Fen Lin was sitting in the passenger seat, holding his chin and staring at the scenery. Outside the window, Zhu Ruoying was still puffing her mouth and sulking. She attended this banquet just to meet the hidden family in Jiangnan side of the road. He wondered if he should pick up the junk quartz from the trash can. What's the use of being stronger than Fen Lin? When you can be stronger than those hidden families, you will be truly strong. At that time, who would dare to steal her man? What's wrong, Xiaoying? Fen Lin turned around with a smile. Nothing, let's go watch a movie with me. Zhu Ruoying sighed slightly, maybe she was thinking too much. He had not been in contact with Fen Lin for a long time and knew that Fen Lin was a principled person. In fact, he broke off the engagement with a woman according to his plan. But the woman refused to leave. Arriving in front of the cinema, Zhu Ruoying suddenly asked, Fen Lin, I want to make sure of one thing. Tell me. Fen Lin nodded. Do you like me? After asking this question, Zhu Ruoying lowered her head in embarrassment. I like it, Fen Lin replied without thinking. Didn't you lie to me? Zhu Ruoying's cheeks turned red. Why did I lie to you? None of the fiancés I've met so far are annoying. Get out. When Zhu Ruoying heard this, she immediately stopped smiling and headed to the cinema. Fen Lin shook his head slightly, he didn't know his own emotions. But one thing he can be sure of is that among the current fiancés, Zhu Ruoying's status has surpassed that of Lan Rao. He will definitely be reluctant to divorce Zhu Ruoying now and separate again later. After this period of time, he felt that Zhu Ruoying was a good woman. Make changes for yourself. He accelerated a few steps, caught up with Zhu Ruoying, put his arm around her shoulders, and whispered in her ear. Anyway, I don't plan to get divorced right now. Hearing this, Zhu Ruoying smiled imperceptibly, but still deliberately said indifferently. TCH, who cares, just leave. When I wanted to get divorced, I didn't know which woman was sad all the time, Fen Lin said with a smile. Who was sad? That's nonsense. Zhu Ruoying refused to admit it. But she knew in her heart that she really liked Fen Lin. In fact, she had been in love with this man since she was a child, when they lived together in the village. Although they never saw each other again, she still missed the boy from back then. Zhu Ruoying chose a literary movie and took Fen Lin to the theater. There are not many people here, they are loose, most of them are couples. They sit in the last row. The beginning of the film is a relatively exciting scene. Zhu Ruoying immediately lowered her head and pretended to look at her phone. Fen Lin's hand fell on Zhu Ruoying's leg and whispered, Xiaoying, were you giving me a hint? Take off your claws. Zhuang lowered her head, her pretty face flushed. Brother Black Bear, you're disgusting. At this moment, a woman's twisted voice came from the front. Hey! Come on, who told you to watch this movie? Come on, calm my anger, came Brother Black Bear's rough voice. You two, could you please be quiet? Are you bothering us? The young man sitting in the row in front of Feng Lin stood up and said. He also came to see him with his girlfriend, so naturally he had to behave like a man in front of his girlfriend. Shit. Who the hell do you think you are? You dare care about me? Black Bear suddenly stood up from his seat, turned around and shouted, don't you want to hang out anymore? The young man didn't expect this man to have such a bad temper, but when your girlfriend is around, you can't be shy, you're bothering us. Chapter 230. Can you touch my mat too? Who do you think you are? I spent money to getting, but I don't make a cent less than you. How dare you care about me? Black Bear jumped up from his seat and picked up the popcorn that was next to him, and threw it forcefully at the young man's face. Shit. I'm going to call security now. The young man also stood up from his seat. However, the woman next to the young man took her arm and shook her head. Forget it. The young man felt that he had done enough. He pointed to the Black Bear in the distance and sat down. Black Bear's face became even more ugly. He immediately took out his cell phone and sent a message to his friend. Mud. If you let a young man show off in front of you, the little sisters around you will look down on you. There was a brief moment of silence. I can only hear the voices of men and women talking in the movie. After a while, 7 or 8 strong men in vests walked in. They all have tattoos on their arms. The round-faced leader looked at Black Bear and asked, Black Bear, what's wrong? Brother, help me teach someone a lesson. Black Bear sneered, got up from his seat and approached the young man. The young man found that all these men were cruel and a trace of fear crossed his face. He didn't expect the other party to be so shameless. Broken. Black Bear slapped the young man in the face, aren't you crazy? The young man did not dare to respond when he saw so many people on the other side. I'm just interrupting you to watch the movie. Who the hell dares to fart? When Black Bear was speaking, the heavily made-up woman next to him also turned and walked over. She said with an adoring smile, Brother Black Bear, you are so domineering. Black Bear looked proud. Hey, you this guy's girlfriend. You're dressed so slutty. The round-faced protagonist smiled and grabbed the woman next to the young man. Stop. Zhuang couldn't take it anymore. He stood up, pointed at a few people and said, get out of here right now. Where are you girls, damn? Black Bear just turned around. I turned around and saw Zhuang's face and the figure simply stupid. Because it was relatively dark here, they were sitting in the back row and had not realized before that such a beautiful woman was sitting here. Compared with the woman next to him, there was a big difference. Brother Black Bear, this woman looks beautiful at first glance. It doesn't cost much. The woman with heavy makeup who was narrating noticed that Black Bear's eyes were open and felt a little jealous. Get out now. Feng Lin frowned, could something so soft be fake? Boy, do you dare to scold me? Black Bear smiled and rubbed his hands. He had no reason to engage in conversation with Zhuang, a beauty, but now he has the opportunity. He reached out and grabbed Feng Lin's neck. Broken. Zhuang was faster and slapped the Black Bear in the face. The powerful impact caused his body to tilt and roll towards the auditorium on the next floor, where his head hit the floor. Can you touch my mat too? Zhuang's expression was cold and she had been suppressing this feeling in her stomach for a long time. She is practicing now and must work hard to surpass the hidden family in strength in the future. When the time comes, it will be Wang Linger who defeats. The one who hit was Zhen Guojiak. Bitch. Do it. Do it. Black Bear's body was stuck in the seat and couldn't get up. The remaining people walked over with sneers on their faces. Everyone wanted to have close contact with a beauty like Zhuang. Beauty, hit my brother, he's going to get beaten up. This girl is so fierce, so fierce. Zhuang's eyes turned cold and he walked towards her. He kicked the leader hard in the stomach. Oh. The strong man flew upside down and hit 3 people one after another. Seeing this, the rest of the people also stopped joking and punched Zhuang. Zhuang attacked. The 2 fists collided. Click. The crisp sound of bone-breaking sounded. This was followed by a manhandle. Ah. My hand. When the remaining people saw this, their eyes were filled with surprise. This girl is so powerful. A bunch of garbage. Get out. Feng Lin stood up, pointed at several people and shouted. Black Bear finally stood up, pointed at Feng Lin and shouted, Brat. If you have the ability, challenge him. If you're a man, don't hide behind a woman. I won't challenge him alone. Feng Lin smiled and spread his hands. You. Black Bear's fingers trembled. So angry. It doesn't matter that my wife is beautiful, but she can still fight very well, which makes me feel safe. Several people were filled with envy. Maybe these types of women are also strong at home. But as a man, as long as you can make a woman beg for mercy in her sleep, you will feel a sense of achievement. Boy. Why are you waiting for me? I want to see how good your woman can be. Before Black Bear left, he said harsh words to Lin. The remaining strong men also supported each other and left. There was silence again and the sound of the movie was heard. Sister, thank you. The girlfriend of the young man in the front row thanked Zhu Ruang with admiration in her eyes. Not only her, but also the women of the couple sitting here. As for the men, they all envied Lin. Although he is strong, his figure and appearance are unique. Even if such a woman whips them with a small wit, they are willing to do it. Okay, let's continue watching the movie. Zhu Ruang sat down and looked at Lin with a haughty expression. It seemed to tell him not to mess with him in the future. Thank you for your hard work. Lin gave a thumbs up. That's amazing. Be obedient from now on, otherwise there will be domestic violence. Zhu Ruang said expressionlessly. Lin smiled bitterly. It was only in the middle of Minjin's life that he became swollen like this. If we take a few more steps, wouldn't it be a big change? The movie ends. Lin and Zhu Ruang left together. Let's go eat together. Zhu Ruang had just fought and felt that her anger had disappeared a lot. There must be a route before the car reaches the mountain. Anyway, she will not be engaged with the Wang family. As soon as the two reached the roadside, the people chatting and laughing in the distance stopped. One of the men pointed at Lin. He is the Black Bear from before. This time, a dozen people followed him. After everyone approached Lin, they took out steel pipes from their sleeves. I haven't fought enough yet. Zhu Ruang rolled up her sleeves and prepared to go up. Should we keep a low profile? After all, you're the president of the company. Lin grabbed Zhu Ruang's arm from behind. Yes, after being reminded, Zhu Ruang also reacted. Since becoming a former warrior, she has grown a lot and forgotten who she is. Boy, get out of here. Black Bear pointed at Lin and shouted while holding the steel pipe. I won't go out. Lin smiled and hid behind Zhu Ruang. Suddenly, he stopped smiling and looked away. Is there any justice in bullying someone in public? A middle-aged man with sinister eyes walked slowly from a distance. He was wearing normal casual clothes, with a slanted figure and stubble. Crazy. People nowadays seem nosy. Black Bear waved the steel pipe at the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man raised his arm and slapped the Black Bear in the face. Boom. The Black Bear's body crashed to the ground, blood spurted from its mouth, and it fell unconscious. When the remaining people saw this, they all decided to retreat. This middle-aged man is not easy to mess with. Are you two okay? The middle-aged man asked with a smile. Okay. Lin smiled and nodded. Well, be careful in the future. The middle-aged man's hand fell on Lin's shoulder. Boom. And Jin's power rushed towards Lin's neck. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 231. This bitch is so fierce. The corners of Lin's mouth curled up slightly. If it were an ordinary person, and Jin's strength right now would still be attacking his neck. Basically announcing the date of death. Since this person wants to kill him, he consulted bravely. Beauty, your boyfriend is not in good health and may fall into a strange coma at any time. If you want treatment, please come with me. The middle-aged man stood with his hands behind his back and said with his back to Zhu Ruang. Don't worry, my husband served as a soldier before and is in good physical condition. Zhu Ruang was in this state and didn't know what happened at that time. Are you in good health? Why did you fall? The middle-aged man turned around and his eyes suddenly widened. What is the situation? Why is this man still standing? Did it fail just now? Thinking of this, he approached Lin again and directly used Jin to transform. Buzz. The power that surged from Jin quickly shocked Lin's heart. The corners of his mouth raised slightly. Now you can fall. But his smile stopped abruptly. What is the situation? Why are you still fine? Just as he was preparing to attack, Lin suddenly frowned and covered his heart. He fell and hit his head right in front of Zhu Ruang. It was cushioned 3 times by the strong spring before it was completely attached to it. What are you doing? Zhu Ruang's face was hot. This was on the street. Look, I just said that I was sick, the middle-aged man said with a proud expression. He couldn't help but be surprised. Could it be that he was about to enter the realm of resonance? Is the attack still delayed? Zhu Ruang immediately helped Fen Lin up. Fen Lin, what's wrong with you? There are a lot of people here. Find a quiet place and I will treat it. The middle-aged man smiled and pointed to the small alley in the distance. Zhu Ruang nodded and quickly helped Fen Lin and walked towards the small alley in the distance. When I got here, I realized it was a dead end. The middle-aged man walked over with an indifferent expression and blocked the exit of the alley. He took out a dagger from his inside pocket with a slight smile. What are you going to do? Zhu Ruang hugged Fen Lin's body and continued to retreat. It's you. It was you who did it. Yes, it's me. You better put him down, he's already dead. The middle-aged man said calmly. Do you know the ancient warrior? Do you know what the transformation realm is? He suddenly stopped and looked at a small advertisement posted on the wall. In the realm of transformation, you can explode the energy in your body. As soon as he finished speaking, the wall inside the small advertising area cracked. Zhu Ruang's pupils tightened. I just applied this power to his heart, do you think he can survive? The middle-aged man scratched the wall with a dagger and approached Zhu Ruang step by step. I need your company's recipe, otherwise he is your destiny. Zhu Ruang's eyes suddenly turned red before she could speak. Fen Lin suddenly opened her eyes and cursed secretly. Grandma. I told you I wanted a recipe before, but I've been pretending for so long. The middle-aged man in front of him was barely an expert. His strength is comparable to Yizan of the Yi family, and he is at the middle stage of the transformation realm. Fen Lin has provoked many enemies currently, just to see where they come from and what organization they belong to. He didn't expect it to be for fancy, so this organization must be rubbish. There was absolutely no need for him to pretend to kill himself and take the prescription. Called this person. It was Zhang Yeli who I met at the previous business meeting. Impossible. The middle-aged man couldn't believe it. One attack had no effect, but two attacks had no effect. A teacher. Thinking of this, the middle-aged man turned around and ran away. But just as he turned around, he suddenly felt that his legs were not working properly, and he grabbed his arm and pulled him up. Threw into the alley. Fen Lin, run. Zhu Ruang turned around and said. Fen Lin was stunned, so this bitch must be a tiger. He dares to act even in the realm of transformation, so it seems that he needs to learn some common sense. Otherwise, she will be the one who will suffer in the future. Fen Lin used Jin to transform and attack Zhu Ruang's body. Boom. Zhu Ruang suddenly flew out and fell to the ground. Go and drive. I'll stop him. Fen Lin yelled at Zhu Ruang, and then took out a gun from his body. Zhu Ruang originally planned to stop him and let Fen Lin drive. However, it was discovered that Fen Lin had a weapon and in this case, he could stop the other party. Seeing Zhu Ruang leave, Fen Lin breathed a sigh of relief. You should be a master, please let me go. It will be of no use to you if we fight to the death, the middle-aged man said calmly. Sorry, I want to do an experiment with you. Fen Lin put away the gun. What test? In the realm of penetration, the source key is exposed. It corrodes the physical body for a long time and can cause the physical body to evaporate. I want to try it. Fen Lin raised his left hand. Call. A dark red light emerged from the palm of his hand. When the middle-aged man saw this, his eyes bulged. I felt like my brain was buzzing, like it was exploding, and I stopped thinking. Impossible. Impossible. He shook his head vigorously, his breathing became faster and faster, and he couldn't believe what he was seeing. How can this be? Let alone the legendary penetration realm, he had never seen the divine orifice realm. Brush. Fen Lin dodged, grabbed the opponent's neck with one hand and lifted him up. No. No, ah. The dark red key struck the opponent's body, like the flames of hell, instantly spreading throughout his body. The other party's scream suddenly stopped and the light swallowed his body. Little by little it collapsed, dissipated and finally became invisible. It's really a good help in destroying corpses and eradicating traces. Sensing Zhu Ruang's aura, Fen Lin immediately ran out and opened the passenger door. As soon as Zhu Ruang stepped on the accelerator, the car sped away. Fen Lin, are you okay? Zhu Ruang asked nervously. Okay. Fen Lin looked at Zhu Ruang's face. If you do such dangerous things in the future, you will be spat 100 times. You are so brave, how dare you hit me? Zhu Ruang snorted coldly. Fen Lin looked at Zhu Ruang. This is a family law. Do you know how strong the other party is? You almost died. Zhu Ruang glanced at Fen Lin secretly and found that Fen Lin looked angry. He couldn't help it. He pouted without replying. Listen, I'm going to give you some knowledge. Fen Lin gave Zhu Ruang a rough explanation of her current state. This matter is serious. If he hadn't been here this time, Zhu Ruang would have died. I know he's very strong, but there's a dead end there. We can't just catch him, right? Zhu Wang looked at Fen Lin and said, "If I am present, ask me first. If I am not present, save your life first," Fen Lin replied. Zhu Wang nodded and took Fen Lin home. Just after arriving at the villa, Fen Lin found a call from Okiao. He immediately answered the call. "What's wrong?" "Fen Lin, the teacher's affairs have been resolved." "Let me tell you," Okiao's childish voice was heard. When Zhu Wang heard that it was a girl, she immediately put her ear close to the phone. Fen Lin rolled his eyes, but the conversation with Okiao was unimportant and he did not need Zhu Wang leave. "Okay. When will you arrive?" Fen Lin asked. "Tomorrow," Okiao replied. "Call me in Yun City." Fen Lin hung up the phone after saying that. Zhu Wang said calmly, "It seems like it's a girl. Isn't she your fiancée again?" Chapter 232 Beauty, are you married? "I realize that you, this crazy bitch, have lost your mind. Why do you think that as long as she is a woman, she will be my fiancée?" Fen Lin rolled his eyes and opened the car door. "You still have the nerve to say that?" Zhu Wang also got out of the car and prepared to go to the villa. However, Fen Lin took her hand and walked towards the opposite door. "What are you doing?" Zhu Wang asked, following behind. He has never entered this villa before and knows that there are many masters here. Fen Lin didn't say anything and let Zhu Wang into the courtyard. "Boss." Jinguji Apkalui, who was watching a TV series on her mobile phone, was the first to stand up and greet as usual. "Oh, you're bored anyway, so trainer if you have nothing to do." Fen Lin patted Zhu Wang on the shoulder several times. "TCH. I don't want to play with trash." Jinguji Apkalui crossed his arms and turned his face away. Zhu Wang said coldly, "I don't want you to teach me it." "Oh, you'll let you beat her for free and you don't agree." Fen Lin waved his hand, "Forget it. If you don't come, I will leave you." "Come on, servant." "Boss, who do you think I am?" Jinguji Apkalui said seriously. "I mainly like to train rookies, not just beat them up." Fen Lin nodded with a smile. "Remember, legions that are more than 2 days old cannot appear and must be suppressed to the same level as her." "Don't worry, boss, I will be merciful." Jinguji Apkalui gently shook her wrist and looked at Zhu Wang. "Are you ready?" "You've been ready for a long time." Zhu Wang took a deep breath. She had a desire to become stronger. Fen Lin was able to choose Jinguji Apkalui, which was exactly what he wanted. If it had been anyone else, she would have been too embarrassed to hit hard. "Then start." Jinguji Apkalui kicked Zhu Wang in the stomach. Zhu Wang's body suddenly flew backwards and slid on the grass for more than 10 meters before stopping. He held his stomach. It hurt. "Stupid." Zhu Wang got up from the ground and ran towards him. But his body was sent flying again, and this time he felt harder than before. Fen Lin shook his head slightly. Many things can only be understood through actual combat. Zhu Wang still has a lot to learn. Sure enough, after falling a few times, his attacks were no longer as rampant as before. "Zhu Wang, let me remind you that Kihui's ability to hit you is limited in the early stage of Min-Jin, which is not as good as yours." Fen Lin stimulated from the side. "If you just go down like this, I will continue studying hard in your class from now on." Hearing these words, Zhu Wang stood up from the ground as if she had been given a blood injection. To become knight. Zhu Wang dragged her injured body staggering back to the villa, feeling useless. "For so long I didn't even know Jinguji Apkalui." Fen Lin specifically told him not to slap himself. After all, he still had to go to work. Relatively speaking, Zhu Wang's face was still very clean. "Are you a little desperate?" "But this is the reality. This path is inherently difficult, so giving up may not be a bad thing," Fen Lin said beside him. "I won't give up." Zhu Wang has her own ideas. She is someone who refuses to admit defeat. He ordered takeout and went to take a bath to relax. After having dinner with Fen Lin, he immediately returned to his room to rest. "Today I was very tired." Fen Lin did not disturb her and let her sleep well. Early the next morning, Zhu Wang opened the door of the room, and after sleeping, she felt her body hurt even more. He looked at Jinguji Apkalui who came out of Fen Lin's room. Zhu Wang secretly gritted her teeth and did not suffer any attack. He didn't want to waste his energy on other aspects. "Jinguji, I'm resting today. We'll continue later." Jinguji Kyuhyun and greeted Zhu Wang. "I'll find a servant to train you first." "Where can I come? I have a lot of time to spend with you." "It's okay. Anyone can do it." Zhu Wang followed Jinguji Kyuhyun. Fen Lin couldn't help but stretch out and cover his head with a quilt and was finally able to rest well. Outside the suburbs of Yun City, there were 3 people standing, an old man, a mature woman and a little girl. The girl is Okiao, still dressed as always. Like a princess, she carries a rabbit-shaped bag on her back. Next to him is a mature woman. Women's skin is not white, but tends to be dark and wheat-colored. The face is noble and elegant, and the hair is tied up with golden accessories. She has a very attractive figure, maybe not as good as Zhuang, but she has a figure in front of her. The standard S-shaped figure appears more exaggerated. Compared to beautiful, sexy is more appropriate. She was probably around 30 years old and was wearing a white dress. This person is none other than the current lord of the underworld, Lin. On the other side of Lin was a bald old man with a black tattoo on his chin, which from a distance looked like a beard. It is the 6th elder of Huangquan, depicted. Sir, the city in front of us is Yan City. Depicted pointed forward and said with a smile, Sir, you'd better go there early. After finishing work, we can go back early. 6th elder, it's difficult to go out, so why are you coming back early? Lin pursed his lips slightly and said calmly. The great elder specifically confessed, not to mention that you are the lord of the underworld. It is against the rules to show your face outside. Depicted lowered his head and said. Kaikyoukiao did not speak, she stood next to him with her hands on her hips and a slight pout. Everyone knows that the Presbyterian Church fears Lin's alliance with the outside world. Let the 6th elder follow you just to keep an eye on you. Haha, let's go then. Lin smiled lightly and walked leisurely along the edge of the avenue. At this moment, Lin suddenly turned around. They were followed by a disheveled middle-aged man riding a Phoenix bicycle and humming a tune. As he passed by some people, he glanced at them slightly and suddenly his eyes widened. He immediately stopped the car and took out a notebook from his inside pocket. This person is none other than Lin's father. Seals out dust. Seeing this, Depicted immediately stood in front of Lin. Lin shook her head slightly at Depicted. Depicted then stepped aside. Ha ha ha. What a coincidence. You're not dreaming, are you? Fen Chen laughed, looked at Lin, and said with a smile, Beauty, are you married? Never. Lin shook her head gently. Fen Chen nodded vigorously, pointed at Lin and said, Last night I dreamed about a woman who looks exactly like you. She is getting married. How presumptuous. Depicted shouted angrily. Lin stopped Depicted, smiled at Fen Chen and said, The person you want to marry is not you, right? No. The person you are going to marry is a man several years younger than you. Looking at 20, how old is he? Fen Chen looked solemn and continued, The one who presided over their wedding was a god in heaven. Oh. Lin raised her eyebrows. At first I thought that an old man was here to strike up a conversation, but today I was wrong. I wonder what the name of the beauty is. Can you leave your contact information so that I can make a fortune for you? Fen Chen took out the pen placed in the middle of the notebook. Since you can tell the future, can't you figure out my name? Lin asked with a smile. Fen Chen closed his eyes, counted his fingers, and said calmly, I haven't calculated the name of the beauty, but I have calculated the name of your future man. His name is Lin. Lin. Lin felt a huge wave in his heart, but the surface is very calm. As for Kaikyoukiao next to him, he quickly covered his mouth. P.S. Feckin. Support more to the author and come see me to tell your fortune for free. Chapter 233 Hexagram Theory. Lin seemed calm. Currently, apart from Lin, the only ones who knew about this matter were Lin and Kaikyoukiao. Could this person be from Lin? But the 6th elder was right in front of her and she couldn't admit it openly. It's a name I'd never heard of before. I had never heard of him, and I had not heard of him. Neither, but I estimated that your future partner will be him. Fen Chen after speaking, he asked again, Can you tell me your names and I will calculate how many children you can have? Haha. Lin covered her mouth and chuckled. Uncle, I like you, I'm already married. Damn. Fen Chen sighed deeply, it seems that you are destined to be together. Yanni only walked about 5 or 6 meters before turning around again. He came to Lin and others. Uncle, what are you going to do? Lin asked with a smile. I'm not looking for you this time. Chen squatted in front of Kaikyoukiao with a solemn expression on his face. Why did I say that you look familiar just now? I met you in my dream too. Are you? Did you dream about that? Me? Kaikyoukiao rolled her eyes. It's true. I also met your spouse. He is a man 10 or 20 years older than you. Fen Chen pinched his fingers again and said calmly, Dreams can be considered destiny, so I will give you tell your boy. Do you know who we are? Get out of here right now. Depicted said coldly, a charlatan had fooled them. Forget it, I'm not happy to give you free divination. If this girl doesn't marry that man, I'm afraid she will suffer from a cold every month for the rest of her life. Fen Chen got up, turned around and left. The three people here look at me, and I look at you. Everyone's faces were shocked and couldn't believe it. Wait a minute. Kai Lin walked a few steps faster and stood in front of Fen Chen. How do you know that she suffers from ice cold every month? Says, Fen Chen replied without thinking. Haha, I am very interested in my son's divination. Sir, you might as well tell me. Kai Lin showed a slight smile. Well, it's a destiny anyway. The hexagram says that this little guy has endured things that he should not endure at his age. Fen Chen closed his eyes and counted his fingers. Kai Lin narrowed his eyes slightly. It was indeed true. Back then the host of the saint could not be found. The saint who couldn't eat and was almost on the verge of death. Only then did they find Kakiokiao, but at that time he was only 3 years old. Logically speaking, he is still far from the age to be exposed to Gu. It is a sacred Gu. Power is not something a child can bear. But there was no time to wait. Shen Gu was on the verge of death and couldn't wait for Kakiokiao to grow up. Fortunately, he could only try his luck. It was successful, but Kakiokiao also left after effects. There are always a few days a month when the Gu Saint will be extremely excited. At that time, ice crystals will appear on Kakiokiao's body, which will make his body turn rigid and becomes as sharp as ice. Sir, is there any way to cure it? Kai Lin asked in a deep voice. Yes. I just need to find someone with a pure yang constitution. Fen Chen closed his eyes again and counted on his fingers. Oh shit, what a coincidence, she will have a pure yang constitution in the future, also called Feng Lin. Feng Lin. Kakiokiao remembered that when she first met Feng Lin, she could clearly feel that her Senku felt close to Feng Lin. Is this true? Leave your contact information and I will notify you when find this person. Fen Chen took out his notebook, looked at Kai Lin and said. His name is Kakiokiao, please leave me your phone number. Kai Lin looked at Kakiokiao and said with a smile. Okay. After Fenken wrote down his name, he greeted a few people, got on his bicycle and left here. Seeing him leave, Defensivo asked, Sir, is that man trustworthy? No, I know, but the root cause of Kiokiao's illness is the pain in my heart. As long as there's a way, even if I can't succeed, I still have to try. Kai Lin looked at Kakiokiao and said calmly, let's go. Feng Lin ate breakfast and lay down on the sofa to rest. He didn't go anywhere today. Kai Lin would come and plan to hand over the sacred Gu ashes to him first. When he heard his cell phone ringing, Feng Lin immediately straightened up. It seemed that Kai Lin had arrived. But when I looked at the call notification, it turned out to be my father's call. Old man, what's wrong with you? Feng Lin asked with a smile. Fen Chen's voice came from the other side, aren't you in Yun City? I passed by Yun City today and was going to see you. Okay. Where are you now? I'll pick you up. Feng Lin took his cell phone and called exit. I just arrived in the city, I will send you the address, said Fen Chen. When Feng Lin saw the direction, he immediately drove his Wuling and rushed towards where Fen Chen was. From a distance, I could see Fen Chen squatting on the sidewalk and smoking. Feng Lin's car stopped in front of him. He jumped out, opened the back door, and put his bike inside. Where have you been recently? You didn't even call me. Feng Lin opened the passenger door with a smile. It's a minor matter. Fen Chen opened the window, took a drag on his cigarette, and blew the smoke out the window. Feng Lin also got into the car and left. By the way, do you mind if your wife is 10 or 20 years younger than you? Fen Chen suddenly asked. Shit. Are you crazy? Can you kill someone under 10 years old? Feng Lin rolled his eyes. You don't know anything. This is called destiny, not to mention that nowadays, people in their 50s and 60s still marry people in their 70s and 80s. Fen Chen took a drag on the cigarette and said calmly. You have nothing to do, please calm down for a while. Feng Lin was speechless before his father and couldn't help but accelerate the accelerator. Arrival at the villa. Feng Lin parked the car in the parking space, took Fen Chen's bicycle out of the car and placed it next to him. By the way, the second master is here. Feng Lin took Fen Chen to the villa on the other side of the gate. You haven't met my friends yet, so I'll let you meet them. Yeah. Fen Chen nodded with a smile. As soon as Feng Lin opened the door of the villa, Zhuang's body flew out and hit the grass hard. Zhuang stood up from the ground with her bow in her hands and just as she was about to run, she found Feng Lin next to her. There is also this middle-aged man who was somewhat similar to Feng Lin. Wearing a casual suit, unbuttoned. He had several days' worth of stubble on his chin and a cigarette in his hand. This person looks familiar to me. Isn't it Zhang? Fen Chen greeted with a smile. Are you Feng Lin's father? Zhuang's eyes widened in shock. Men Chang Shen, who was playing chess in the distance, also turned around and smiled. Boss. Is this uncle? Jinguji Akada ran over excitedly from a distance. Fen Chen squinted his eyes and looked at Jinguji Qihui, feeling that things were not that simple. Let me guess, you're Fen Lin's wife, right? Fen Chen pointed to Jinguji Qihui and asked. I do. Jinguji Akada was a little embarrassed, but he still nodded timidly. I am Fen Lin's wife. Zhu Wang walked over and said fiercely. Fen Lin was about to speak when he found a call from Kakio Kiao. Old man, don't talk nonsense. I'm going out for a while. Fen Lin answered the phone and left in Wuling Hongwen. Haha, they all are, but I don't know who the eldest wife is. Fen Chen smiled and smoked, walking towards Men Chang Shen in the distance. Chapter 234. Only 9 underworlds. After all these years, you're still the same, Men Chang Shen said with a smile. It's important to maintain a good attitude. Fen Chen sat in the garden next to him, crossing his legs. Are you Fen Lin's father? At this time, Du King Yu walked out of the villa, stood in front of Fen Chen and asked. Are you, King Yu? Haha, your mother and I have known each other for a long time. The marriage between you and Fen Lin was decided personally by the two of us. Fen Chen looked at Du King Yu in front of him, and said with a smile. At this time, Yan Yuibai and Yi Shen, who were in the villa, walked over. Both of them were very interested in Fen Lin's father. Especially Yi Shen, who previously thought that Fen Lin was the son of a powerful man, so his father must have a noble status. You are Fen Lin. Before Yi Shen could finish speaking, Fen Chen stopped her. Fen Chen looked at Yi Shen and Yan Yuibai solemnly, feeling that things were not so simple. Don't talk, let me guess, you're both Fen Lin's wives, right? I'll rub it. Zhu Wang couldn't stand it. Use foul language. How abominable. Obviously she is Fen Lin's real wife. But the key point is that she and Fen Chen don't know each other. If she is too strong, what should I do if I make him angry? She could only sulk on the sidelines, waiting for Fen Lin to come back and teach her a lesson to let out her bad temper. However, when Zhu Ruan calmed down, her eyes suddenly looked towards Yi Dan in the distance. She didn't know Yi Dan's true identity. But it seems that Fen Chen calls all the women here Fen Lin's wife, except Yi Dan. Isn't Yi Dan beautiful? Lao Meng, do you want to have a drink? Fen Chen stood up with a smile. Okay. Men Chang Shen turned his wheelchair and nodded. Dad, where are you going? I'll see you off. Zhu Wang immediately showed her attention. Jinguji didn't show any weakness. Dad, what do you want to drink? I'll have someone buy it for you. Haha. It's great to have a daughter-in-law, but no, I have to do it. Get some more. Fenken couldn't bear it. He smiled. I'll clean it up. Zhu Wang's face suddenly darkened and she felt that it was unnecessary. Haha. Xiaoling, don't be nervous. You have the potential to be a great wife. Think about it. From now on, a group of women will carry out your orders. Wouldn't it feel good? Fen Chen smiled and patted Zhu Ruang's shoulder. Zhu Ruang frowned slightly and asked Lan or Jinguji to bring him tea and water every day. It feels good. Dad, come to my villa. It's quiet there. Zhu Ruang didn't take it seriously. She thought Feng Chen was joking. How could someone be such a father? I really thought Feng Lin was an iron kidney. Under the leadership of Zhu Ruang, Fen Chen and Men Chang Sheng approached the stone table in their villa. Jinguji Akada asked someone to prepare liquor. After pouring the liquor, everyone left, leaving only the two of them. I heard that boy said he was away from home recently. And he did things again. Men Chang Sheng took a drink and asked with a smile. Hey. I haven't retired yet. Fenken took the wine glass and drank it all in one gulp. Grandma's. Before I knew it, I was 50 years old and life went by so fast. Don't use the age of ordinary people to describe you. You're at your peak and still at your peak. Men Chang Sheng filled the glass with wine. That's why I'm tired. The only fun now is to find a wife for my son. Fen Chen took out a cigarette from the cigarette case and put it in his mouth. Simply snap your fingers and the cigarette will burst into flames and light up automatically. Don't just look for Fen Lin, look for one yourself. Men Chang Sheng also took out his pipe and said with a smile. I dare not. If Yongzhu finds out, she might beat me to death. Fen Chen took a deep breath from his cigarette and exhaled the smoke. I feel relieved to have you by that kid's side. Don't tell me what you said. It's the same thing. I still hope you carry my coffin. Men Chang Sheng took the white wine again and drank it in one gulp. Old man, I still want to thank you. Fen Chen raised the wine glass, pointed it at Men Chang Sheng, and drank it in one gulp. That boy is getting stronger and stronger, and his meridians have been penetrated this time when he came back. Men Ching Sheng smoked his pipe and said with a smile, "We are now facing the land of Jiao. It's just Jiao, it's not as good as the upper ones, but it's more than the lower ones. You can keep it as an experience for the child." Fenken took the wine glass, stuck it in his mouth, and did not drink it. "Wang Quan's the new boss is here. This girl is good, but she is married, but it's a pity." "You can't. Do you want me to be Feng Lin's wife? Have you forgotten what Yongzhu said back then? This girl is very rich, be careful to catch her son, otherwise it will be Liu Nian again." Men Ching Sheng said helplessly. "It's too late. With such a big bud, he is obviously a man who can give birth to a son." As Fen Chen spoke, a Wuling Huangwen parked in front of the villa. Fen Lin and Kai Lin arrived at the villa together. "Old man," Second Master Fen Lin arrived at the villa and found the two of them drinking. He smiled and greeted them. "Beauty, what a coincidence." Fen Chen held the wine glass and walked over with a smile. "You," Kai Lin looked at Fen Chen strangely. "Oh, let me introduce you. This is my father and that is my second teacher," Fen Lin introduced. "I see, sir, you're very clever." Kai Lin raised the corners of his mouth slightly. After saying so much, it turned out that he wanted to find a wife for his son. "Do you know each other?" Fen Lin looked confused. "I met this person on the way here. I seem to like you very much. I originally wanted to trick her into becoming your wife, but she got married." Fen Chen told him what happened before. "Damn. So you lied to Kakiokiao." Fen Lin remembered that Fen Chen asked him as soon as he got in the car if it was okay for a woman who was 10 or 20 years younger than him. "Isn't that Kakiokiao?" "Uncle, I didn't dare to tell the truth because there were outsiders before. In fact, I'm not married yet." Kai Lang smiled at Fen Chen. "That's great, you two are a match made in heaven, drink your wine." Fen Lin rolled his eyes, looked at Kai Lin and said, "Let's go to the room and ignore him." Kai Lin glanced at Fen Chen, then followed Fen Lin into the living room. Fen Chen smiled and sat down opposite Men Cheng Sheng. "Old man, things are getting interesting. Anyway, it's your son, I don't care." Men Cheng Sheng took the wine glass. He obviously didn't like women like Kai. Pot. In the living room. Kai Lang sat on the sofa very elegantly. "Fen Lin, your dad is really interesting. Forget about him, let's get down to business quickly. I will give you Ash's holy goo and wait for you to increase your strength and unify the underworld. Stop those people from doing bad things." Fen Lin raised his left little finger and used his power. 2 light spots emitting black light flew out from Fen Lin's little finger. In fact, they are ashes. Kai Lang stared at the light spot. He paused and said, "The mother's body should also be in your hands, right?" Fen Lin thought for a moment and nodded. "Yes, but I promise that senior." "Why?" "You should know that the mother body is in your body. To put it bluntly, the holy ash glue is still your thing. You can take it away at any time." Kai Lang stood up and said solemnly, "I don't think you like it either. Others control themselves, right?" Chapter 235 The city is extremely deep. Fen Lin looked at the weak-colored sexy woman in front of him. What she said makes sense. But the elder said that the mother's body remained in his body and there were 3 pairs of Ash's holy glue. Just give a pair to Kai Lin. "No, I promise that senior, not to mention that you won't verbally promise to unify the underworld and prevent them from doing evil." Fen Lin continued, "I can give it to you, but at least wait until you unify the underworld." "You do not get it. Cultivator Gu, if the mother body is not in my body, I will not be able to devote myself to cultivating Sinku." Kai Lang spoke sternly and had no intention of engaging with Fen Lin. At this moment, Fen Chen opened the door and walked in. He pointed to Fen Lin and said, "Give it to him. Go out and drink, you don't know anything." Fen Lin rolled his eyes. "After all, I am also a miracle doctor. What have I never seen before? If my daughter-in-law wants it, she must give it to me." Fen Lin put his arm around Fen Lin's shoulders. "Hurry up. If give it to me, you don't have to accept that gift money." Kai Lang showed a slight smile. Smiling and not saying anything. "Well, I don't want the insect to stay on my body anyway." Fen Lin stretched out his little finger again and a point of golden light floated from the tip of his finger. Kai Lang's face was filled with ecstasy and she couldn't wait to come. His hand fell under the golden point of light. But the golden light spot remained suspended in the air and did not seem to integrate into his body at all. An imperceptible smile appeared at the corner of Fenken's mouth, and he said sternly, "What's going on? Damn. This little bud doesn't give you face. Could it be because of incompatibility?" The senior said that he met several people, even the Gusin did not choose them, Fen Lin said from the side. Kai Lang silently retracted his palm and secretly clenched his fist. As soon as Feng Lin raised his palm, a spot of golden light immediately penetrated the tip of Feng Lin's little finger. Look, I want to give it to you, but I can't help it. Feng Lin thought this was the best ending. Do you want this, Synchro? Yes. Of course, since the mother body is in your body, you can control Ash's holy goo and enter my body. Kai Lang's face returned to its previous smile. Feng Lin nodded, waved his hand gently, and 2 spots of black light penetrated Kai Lang's hand. As expected, it wholly grew. Kai Lang felt the power emanating from his body, but he couldn't be happy. If your own power is in the hands of others, to put it harshly, you will become the other person's servant. No matter what big shot he becomes in the future, Senku can be taken away by others. Not only that, he couldn't let Feng Lin die. If the host Feng Lin dies, the maternal body will also die if there is no nutrition. If the mother body dies, Ash's holy goo will also die. Kai Lang had a smile on his face, but he was dissatisfied in his heart. It is really disgusting to have this power in hand. But Ash's holy goo is very powerful, so you can't do without it. Boy, remember, the Senku belongs to my daughter-in-law. If you dare to take it from me in the future, be careful with my 7 wolf belts. Fen Chen patted Feng Lin on the shoulder heavily and smiled. To Kai Lin, and turned to leave. Don't listen to their nonsense. I have a wife. Feng Lin felt a little embarrassed. This father was too embarrassed. When I met Kai Lin before, it was obvious that she was taking a cold approach. Being shaken like this made him lose confidence. Haha, your father must be joking. How can I, an old woman in her 30s, like me? Kai Lin touched her face. What's more, in China we regard white as a beauty, so why should it be so dark? Don't leave Versailles. Many people will fall in love with a woman like you just by looking at her. Feng Lin did not compliment her, he was telling the truth. This woman's appearance and temperament make people angry just by looking at her. However, Feng Lin always felt haha, I take it seriously, Kai Lang said with a smile, I'll leave if nothing happens. I'm afraid Kyokiao won't be able to stop the 6th elder. Feng Lin nodded and felt that it was almost done. The 2 walked out together and Kai Lang took the initiative to greet Feng Chen. Uncle, I'm leaving first. Well, I come here often. When I get married, I need fewer engagement gifts. Chen greeted Kai Lin. Feng Lin shooed Kai Lin away, and after a while, he returned and sat next to Feng Chen. Wow, I've heard about Kai Lin for a long time. This man is deep in the city. Be careful not to be betrayed, Men Chengsheng said calmly. I also think that this person is not simple. If his father hadn't spoken just now, Feng Lin would never have handed over his mother's body. He looked at Feng Chen and said, Old man, what do you think? Such a big butt can definitely give birth to a son. If you have a few children with her, her palace will not be deep. Feng Chen smiled and raised his wine glass. Damn, can you have any qualities? Feng Lin's head was full of black lines. The 3 of them drank a lot here. Feng Chen has something to do and is ready to leave. This time he came to Yan City and was passing through here specially to see Feng Lin. He got on his bike and lit a cigarette. Fire lotus seeds last time? Feng Zun asked suddenly. After all, it was something valuable, so he still had to mention it. Oh, I gave it to Lu Yao. She is not a simple person. Just treat it as a gift, Feng Chen said indifferently. Then I'll give you a few more. Anyway, there are quite a few here. There are 15 fire lotus seeds in total, 1 for Su Yi, 1 for Zhuang, and 5 for Death Knight, plus 1 for Feng Chen. Currently there are 7 left. Feng Lin took out everything in his pocket. I'll take 2 and leave you 5. Feng Chen first took 1 and put it in his mouth, then took another and put it in his pocket. This one is for the bright price, you can always use it. Remember to call if you have nothing to do, Feng Lin said. Feng Chen waved his hand, pedaled his bicycle and left here slowly. Men Chengsheng also started his wheelchair and walked towards the villa on the other side of the door. Feng Lin looked at the fire lotus seeds in his palm, thinking about who to give them to. It would definitely not be enough to send everyone around him. Currently, he only has 1 candidate, and that is Lan Rao. He joined the Hidden Legion to experience the baptism of death. Strength is crucial. Zhu Yan is also a candidate. At this time, Feng Lin's cell phone rang. He took it out and looked at it, and found that it was a bunch of confusing characters. At least, it was Liu Nian's decision. After the call was connected, Liu Nian's voice came. Boss, if you have anything to say, tell me quickly. Feng said coldly. Lin. If you have nothing to do, you can't call the boss. Feng Lin hung up the phone before Liu Nian finished speaking. After a while, Liu Nian called again. Boss, since I betrayed you, it seems that I have suffered for you several times in a row. I still underestimated the second master. I'll hang up if it's okay. Feng continued. There are two important things in total. Liu said immediately. First, if you kill the young master of Caitian Palace, you will have trouble in the future. Feng only killed one person he met in the cemetery. The few people left will definitely complain. This is also normal. The second thing is that I found out what Tong Yu was going to do. Tong Yu played a big role in my failure last time. I want to get revenge on her this time. Liu laughed and asked, what are you doing? What? Do you know? P.S. Sorry guys, something happened, the update is late. Chapter 236. No more pretensions, confrontation. I don't want to know. Tong Yu was my good friend, I won't touch her for the time being. Feng said lightly. Are you kidding? You can be friends with this kind of woman, she is much worse than me. Liu couldn't believe it, but thought about it carefully. Perhaps Feng said this just to sow discord. I know Tong Yu is a bad person, but I won't kill her when I meet her. It's just the opposite when I meet you. Feng didn't lie in what he said. Hey. My boss, didn't I betray you once? What kind of hatred or resentment? Liu sighed lightly, and then said, that I really won't tell you. Feng hung up the phone. Not wanting to chat with Liu. If he wants to say it, he will naturally say it. What's more, for this person of the same month, he is currently out of sight. After hanging up the phone, Feng was going to see Zhuoying. As soon as he left the house, he found two cars parked here. They are all black, a Mercedes-Benz G and an Alfa Romeo. After stopping, 4 people got out of the car. Feng took a quick look and said helplessly. The problems appear again. The people who came were none other than YD and Wang of the Wang family. Wang Renxing and Wen Rixi of Wanren. Feng, I didn't expect you to live here. It will be easy for me to find you. YD walked over with a smile, his tone not as condescending as before. He specifically asked his father about the appearance of the miracle doctor back then. After his reminder, Wang Shaowen finally had an idea. The miracle doctor back then looked like Feng. Unexpectedly, the miracle doctor they were looking for turned out to be Feng's father. Then the Wang family will definitely fight for this man. Haha, what's wrong with you guys? Feng said with a wicked smile. What else can you do? Get married. Wen Renxing pushed Wen Renxi's shoulder. Get married early and have children early. At this time, Zhuoying left the village through the door. When he discovered that the two families were following him, he quickly walked towards Feng. Can you please stop bothering Feng? Zhuoying was speechless. Now she finally understood. The matter of Feng's fiancé has nothing to do with Feng. It's all his stinking father's fault. Presumptuous. How can you talk here? Zhuoying, leave Feng immediately, otherwise the consequences will be serious. YD said coldly. Back at the Wang family, if it hadn't been for Zhuoying, Feng would have already married Wang. I'm not afraid of you. Zhuoying was not afraid at all, she thought for a moment. The company is currently making a lot of money and if it goes bankrupt, it goes bankrupt. The money is enough for you to live a good life. Regardless of the company, I will be able to strengthen myself with peace of mind in the future. You too, I will tell you the truth. Feng decided to speak clearly. He first looked at Wen Renxing and said with a smile, Miss Wenren and I don't know each other. We don't even call each other. To each other. It's very hard to talk about. It's not sweet. Yes, Feng is right. YD nodded secretly. Feng turned his attention back to ID. Mr. Wang, anyone below me is not considered a woman in my eyes. I can treat Linger as my sister and forget about my wife. You. Wang Linger's pretty face blushed, she pointed at Feng and was so angry that she couldn't speak. Are people below me not considered women? How many women can there be in all of China? Actually, I know that there are reasons why you asked your daughter to marry me. Feng continued, don't worry, Mr. Wang, I can take care of Linger's body until she returns to healthy health. Free. You mean you don't need to get married? Do you have a solution? YD's voice was very solemn. There was no need for him to lie and let Feng marry his daughter just to heal his body. There's a way, but it will take a long time to recover. Feng nodded and then looked at Wen Renxing. I don't know Wen Renxing. Sir, you might as well tell me directly what is the way. Why do you want your daughter to marry me? Wen Renxing looked at his daughter and sighed deeply. The reason is very simple. Naturally, it is due to the background of Feng and his father, a miracle doctor. However, Feng had said everything and was too lazy to object. Dad, go back first. I'll chat with Feng. Pick me up before dark. Wen Renxi looked at his father. Wang Ling also said, Dad, the same thing happens to me. You go back first. Wang Di and Wen Renqi looked at each other and nodded. It is better to leave this matter to themselves. The two left separately. Fen Lin took the two of them to Zhu Ruang's villa. Zhu Ruang followed them closely, wanting to see what they were going to talk about. The four of them sat on the couch, staring at each other, but no one spoke. Fen Lin was the first to speak. What do you mean? Wen Renqi stood up, went to the water dispenser next to him to get a glass of water, looked at Fen Lin and said, if I agree to get married, you, to fulfill the obligations of a wife, Zhu Ruang and I, who do you choose? I choose Zhu Ruang. Fen Lin looked at Zhu Ruang next to him without hesitation. Zhu Ruang raised the corners of her mouth slightly and lowered her head with her face slightly red. Why? Wen Renqi asked. Because you're big. Fen Lin clenched his fists. If you are not big, how can you win people's hearts? What the hell? Zhu Ruang hit Fen Lin with an elbow. Haha, that is, you chose Zhu Ruang because you liked her appearance. Wen Renqi nodded slightly. Appearance is just an aspect. Fen Lin crossed his legs and looked at Zhu Ruang. Zhu Ruang's eyes shone with stars, as if she was waiting for Fen Lin's praise. Well, although appearance is one thing, it accounts for 99%. Fen Lin said it deliberately as a joke. In fact, he didn't know it either. At first he was going to talk about his character. But Zhu Ruang's personality was not his type at all. If I really want to say it, it's the feeling. Fen Lin didn't know why, but Zhu Ruang made him feel very real and comfortable. No, divorce. Zhu Ruang puffed her mouth, crossed her arms, and sulked next to him. He definitely doesn't like her. Fen Lin likes her for her, it's just a joke, don't be angry. Fen Lin smiled and took Zhu Ruang's hand. Zhu Ruang, what are you doing? Why aren't you training? Jinguji Abkadu's voice came from outside the courtyard. Fen Lin said helplessly, another troublesome person arrived. Because this father looks for trouble all day long. Boss. What's going on? Who are they? Jinguji Abkadu walked over and sat on the other side of Fen Lin and asked. Fen Lin did not speak, hesitated for a long time and smiled. He opened his arms and hugged Zhu Ruang and Jinguji Abkadu respectively. Stop pretending, let's show it off. They are all my wives, Fen Lin explained with a serious face. Zhu Ruang, an ordinary woman with a little money. Jinguji comes from an ordinary family. Jinguji Qiu was at a loss. He looked at Fen Lin. When did he become an ordinary family? But Fen Lin must have a reason for saying this and she didn't refute it. Compared to your hidden family, they all have a low status. It is because of their low status that I can make them all my women, Fen Lin said with a calm expression. Chapter 237. Something happened to Lanru. Wen Renqi and Wang Linger looked at each other, as if they knew what Fen Lin wanted to express. You should understand, right? If I marry one of you, your family will definitely ask me to abandon you. Fen Lin looked at Wen Renqi. Tell me, should I choose to marry you or stay with my two women together? I see, numbers win. Wen Renqi shook her head slightly. Coming from a reclusive family, she was no stranger to this kind of thing. Not only the quantity, but its quality is also good. When I sleep, holding one of them in my arms is much better than just holding one of you. Fen Lin looked at Wen Renqi. Is there anything else you want? Ask. If I don't mind them your two wives and I marry you, will you agree? Wen Renqi asked. It's natural. What man doesn't want to have 3 wives and 4 concubines? Fen Lin knew that their families would never agree to this. I understand, I have nothing more to ask. Wen Renqi sat on the sofa with a glass of water. Fen Lin turned his attention back to Wang Linger. Wang Linger clenched her fists, lowered her head and asked, Fen Lin, do you really care about your figure? Well, don't be discouraged. This is not your reason, this is my reason. I'm sick and I'm nervous. I always want to grab something when I'm in bed, but I can't grab your hair. Fen Lin looked a little embarrassed. It's okay. I have nothing more to ask. Wang Linger stood up and said. Fen Lin finally breathed a sigh of relief and let go of the 2 people around him. Zhu Ruang's hanging heart also fell to the ground. I got rid of my 2 fiancés and I have to continue the good work. The best thing is to kill Jinguji Abkadu and Lan Rao. Oh, what a shame. I also want to marry you, but you don't agree. Fen Lin pretended to be helpless. I don't disagree, said Wang Linger. Oh, what a pity, what the hell? Fen Lin said, suddenly stunned. What did you say? I said, I didn't agree to marry you. Wang Linger walked with a smile, approached Fen Lin. Aren't there only 2 concubines? My grandfather only has 2 concubines. Usually the 2nd grandmother and the 3rd grandmother are very respectful to my grandmother when they see them. Fen Lin. Zoroing. Fen Lin regretted it. He was so good just now. Why were you pretending? Now people agree. Stupid. Who was this concubine? You better say it clearly. Jinguji Akahu spoke sternly. The boss is obviously his. All these people are later. How could he let them ride on his head? You're low status and can't convince the public even if you're a wife. Don't worry, I won't wear small shoes for you. Wang Ling put her hands on her hips and said proudly, from now on, 7 days a week, I will accompany Fen Lin for 5 days, and you will accompany each other for separate. The forest is closed for 1 day. Shit. Are you so crazy? Zoroing clutched her fists. She couldn't stand it anymore. Come on. Come out and challenge each other. That's right. Whoever is stronger is the real wife. Jinu Temple Kihui nodded slightly and walked out. Haha, let's compete. I'll give you some advice. Wang Ling was very confident in her own strength and followed her. Fen Lin sat helplessly and lay back on the sofa, as if she had lost her sleep. It's really interesting, when Rexy laughed. I want to join your big family too. Big star, forget it. I like to keep a low profile. Fen Lin hurriedly waved his hand. You just said that as long as I marry you, you dare to marry me. You were really lying. When Rexy felt that Fen Lin was lying from the beginning. Have you never met a man like? Fen Lin closed his eyes and asked in a low voice. No, I am pessimistic about love. When Rexy said softly. She likes music and is not interested in men or women. She has no great demands on the other side of her future. It is enough if she really likes herself. Her philosophy is to find someone to love me. Love, not someone I love. Woohoo! Right at this moment, there was a burst of crying outside, and Wang Ling walked in crying while wiping away her tears. He looked distraught and tearful. Fen Lin hurriedly walked over and found a handprint on Wang Ling's little face. Her. Stop crying. Fen Lin took Wang Ling's hand, went to the bathroom and wiped her face with a towel. At Jindu Temple, she slapped me. Woo, Wang Ling said. Wiped away her tears and complained to Fen Lin. Fen Lin remembered the time she faced the Gu cultivator. The same goes for Wang Ling, who after being hit by the opponent, started to cry, obviously no longer young. But he is not as mature as a little boy like Kakiokiao. Stop crying. Fen Lin helplessly pulled Wang Ling and sat on the sofa to comfort her. Is this my wife? He shouldn't get married. How will you have children after getting married? Is he causing problems with his children? Why didn't you cry when you hit me? You cry when you get hit. Zoroing followed him and couldn't help but stare. Woo, Fen Lin, look at her. What do you mean? Is she our wife or am I your old wife? Zoroing was a little sad. At this moment, Fen Lin's cell phone rang. He thought to himself who was so smart and gave him a chance to leave this place. Of good and evil. He took it out and looked at it. It was Lanny's phone number. Hey, stop crying. I'll go out and take a call. Fen Lin wiped Wang Ling's tears and walked out with her cell phone. Haha, what a good call. It's a good call from you. Something happened to my granddaughter, Lan River said there. What? Fen Lin suddenly stopped smiling. Shouldn't I be training now? Charu has been training intensely since he was in high school. A week ago, he successfully entered the early stage of Menjin. This is your first time. A mission. Lanny's voice was very heavy. All of his companions on this mission have lost contact. Where are they? Fen Lin asked. Lanny even opened his mouth and, as Fen Lin's fiancé, naturally he wanted to rescue her. At the moment there's no urgent matter on his part. If I were at home, I would have sent someone there myself, but this time it happened that I was abroad. He didn't have that much authority to send the secret legion abroad. Lanny's voice came from there. The wave in South Asia is the Sai Islands. Understood, it's not that far. It only takes 6 or 7 hours by plane. Send me the exact location before it disappeared and I'll leave right away. Fen Lin knew that this place was a tourist destination. I once went on a mission to Fen Lin and stayed there. Fen Lin, thank you. Lan hung up the phone after saying that. Afterwards, Lanny sent the news, not only the place where Lan Rao disappeared, but also the mission. Suspected of being chased by Jia Lan. Fen Lin frowned slightly. She dared to accept such a task. He explained to the people here and asked Zhu Ruoying to take Fen Lin to the airport. Fen Lin immediately bought a ticket and boarded the plane. This time it wasn't first class, I just bought an economy class ticket. I looked at the time, it was already 1 in the afternoon and by then it would be almost dark. Just as Fen Lin closed his eyes, someone suddenly patted him on the shoulder. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 238 College Student Taking a Loan. Fen Lin opened his eyes and found a short-haired man wearing sunglasses in front of him. He said to Fen Lin, "Brother, change seats. My girlfriend is there and I want to sit with her." Fen Lin closed his eyes again. "I hated problems. You can ask your girlfriend to switch seats with someone else. I don't want to move. I'll clean it up. Are you embarrassed?" The man in sunglasses grabbed Fen Lin by the collar. "Get up." Fen Lin was in a bad mood, fearing that Lan Rao's life was in danger. Usually when this kind of thing happens at things, he simply teaches him a lesson. This time, he did not take action and directly used Jin. Click. The palm of the sunglasses man made a crisp sound. Sunglasses, his entire palm hurt, as if his bones were broken. The flight attendants in the distance noticed a conflict and immediately came over to investigate the situation. "Please, everyone, the plane will take off immediately," he said. A uniformed flight attendant with a professional smile. My hand is broken." The sunglasses man roared. "Brother, stop touching me. You just grabbed someone's clothes and they didn't touch you." "Yes, I saw too. The seat is theirs and they don't want to change." "No problem." Sitting down, all the people were on Fen Lin's side. "My hand is really broken." The man in sunglasses looked at his palm and found that no one believed it. He could only look at Fen Lin coldly. "Boy, why are you waiting?" He could only sit. Original location. The plane took off. Fen Lin closed his eyes and waited quietly. At this moment, he heard a small voice. "Thank you." Fen Lin turned his head and looked at the woman by the window. He was wearing a mask and a cap. The brim of the hat is so low that you can't see her face clearly. It was the girlfriend the man mentioned before. "Why are you thanking me?" Fen Lin asked. "I'm not his girlfriend at all." The woman's voice was very low, as if she was afraid that the man from before would hear her. "Then why didn't you tell me before?" Fen Lin asked. "I don't dare. He has control over me," the woman whispered. "Yes," Fen Lin simply agreed and asked no more questions. He hates problems. He is not a bad person who enjoys helping others. When you are in a good mood, you will help others. But if he is in a bad mood, he will choose to ignore it. Helping others is a matter of affection, but not helping is a duty. No one can morally hijack it. The woman seemed surprised by Fen Lin's calm attitude. After pausing for a moment, she whispered, "Can you help me? As long as you can snatch the phone from him." "I'm sorry, I don't want to move or help. I'm a coward and I don't dare cause trouble." Fen Lin closed his eyes again and said calmly. The woman whispered, "As long as you can help me, I will sleep with you for one night." As she spoke, the woman's hand was quietly placed on Fen Lin's leg. Fen Lin moved her hand away and said calmly, "I'm sorry, I feel bad when I see women. I like men." The woman was surprised again. "Could this happen to you?" She could only remain silent, watching the clouds outside the window. A few hours passed in the blink of an eye and the plane landed. Fen Lin followed everyone's footsteps and slowly left here. As soon as he left the airport, he was stopped by a short-haired man. His glasses had been removed, revealing his small eyes. Judging from the wounds on his hands and an masked woman next to him, he was the person he met earlier on the plane. "Boy, why are you walking so fast?" As soon as the man finished speaking, 4 men appeared behind him. They looked more like South Asians. "It should be local. Don't you want that hand anymore?" Fen Lin asked calmly. "Haha, are you still crazy when you come to my territory? Do you know who I am? I am a snakehead." When the man said this, he looked at the 4 people surrounding him and said something in the local language. "Destroy it." The 4 people around him took out daggers from their bodies and walked towards Fen Lin. Compared with China, the security level in these island countries is very low. There is a mix of fish and dragons here. Even if you stab someone, as long as you can escape without problems. The next day it was as if nothing had happened. The corners of Fen Lin's mouth raised slightly and he originally planned to teach her a lesson and leave. Unexpectedly, I ran into a smuggler. Under normal circumstances, these kinds of people are mainly smugglers and are very familiar with some local lawless elements. Fen Lin could also ask about Lan Rao and others. Fen Lin whipped his leg and kicked one of them. Then, Fen Lin moved forward and grabbed the short-haired man's severed hand. "Oh!" The man screamed in pain. "It hurts. Brother, please spare my life. Come on, let's get closer." Fen Lin put his arm around the short-haired man's shoulders and walked forward with a smile. "Are you a snakehead?" "Brother, yes. People on the street call me Mouse." I am the popular person next to the snaky head. Mouse smiled in pain and nodded hurriedly. Take me to see him. Feng Lin let go of the mouse hand and said calmly. Okay. The mouse looked at him in surprise. Could it be that this man and his boss are acquaintances? He didn't care, he would know after meeting him. He was an acquaintance, so he knelt down and apologized. If not, enjoy its good fruits. Guys, follow her. Mouse pointed to the woman next to him and said in the local language. Yes. Brother Red. Several people surrounded the masked woman and followed Feng Lin and others. What is this woman doing? Feng Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and asked flatly. He is simply a poor college student. He has no money at home, so he imitates others and borrows a campus loan. He still can't pay it off. Mouse smiled next to him. After counting the interest, he already owes us more than 200,000 yuan. Feng Lin turned around and looked at the woman behind him. He seemed to be afraid of Feng Lin's eyes and immediately lowered his head, not daring to look at Feng Lin. Why did you catch her? Feng Lin continued to ask. What else can we do? Sell it. The Bose Islands are a tourist destination and there are many rich foreigners, Mouse whispered. She's still a baby. As long as my boss communicates with a buyer, this kind of thing costs $50,000 to $60,000 at a time. Brother, please save me. I asked them to lend me 30,000 yuan to buy an Apple 12 Pro and an LV bag. It's only been 3 months and they have borrowed 200,000 yuan. The woman was crying. With tears in her eyes, He pleaded with Feng Lin, I know I was wrong, help me. Crazy. Shut up. Mouse turned around and shouted, who gave you the loan? I forced you. Feng Lin shook his head slightly. Sometimes poor people must be hateful. It is certainly wrong for these people to engage in usury. But this college student is not a good person either. Even though I know my family doesn't have money, I still ask these people for loans. Brother Mouse, I will give you my phone and my bag. Please let me go, please, the heartbroken woman shouted. My domestic mobile phone is very good. Lee. The mouse stopped, turned, pointed at the woman and said, help us earn enough 500,000 yuan, and then I will let you go back. Chapter 239 Did you need a god? 500,000. How come it's 500,000? It's obviously 200,000. The woman couldn't take it anymore, she took off her cap and threw it on the ground. He took off his mask again and was now not afraid of being embarrassed. He didn't know how long it would take him to earn 500,000. She was still a college student and she didn't want to be that kind of woman. Before it was because the photo was in the hands of the other party. Too scared to call the police, she is now willing to risk her life. Feng Lin turned around and saw the woman's full face. He has short dyed brown hair and a bare face, which looks pretty good. Although she is not as good as Zhu Rong, a top beauty, she can still be considered to have a middle to upper class appearance. This kind of person, if he posts some photos on the internet, there must be a man talking about the goddess. Haha, then I will settle the accounts for you today. Now you owe 200,000, but can you receive clients immediately? The mouse lit a cigarette. Wait until tomorrow and there will be a new price. So you've been saving? Damn, am I going to be like this all my life? The woman shouted. Do you think you can easily find that kind of rich man? You can accompany me today, but I don't know if the other party can offer you 10,000 yuan or not. The mouse let out a smoke ring. Your first time is the most precious. Without the first time, after that, 2 or 3,000 will be fine if you accompany someone. The woman lowered her head and cried bitterly. She lamented why she had to compare herself with others. Why take a loan to borrow money? Now she still hides it from her family, saying that is at school. I hid it from the school teachers and said that I was traveling abroad with my family. I didn't know how much longer I could persuade him. I want to find a rich man for your own sake. We will pack you up and you can give it the first time, easily $50,000 or $60,000. The mouse counted next to him and continued. It's 60,000. Almost 400,000 Chinese coins. There will only be 100,000 left at a time, and after a month or two of hard work, I could almost pay for them. Stop talking nonsense, take me there quickly. Feng Lin frowned and remembered. Okay, let's go quickly. Mouse covered his hands and walked over to a pickup truck. 7 seats outside. Several people sat together. After about 20 minutes, several people arrived at a huge factory near the sea. There are many ships parked nearby. After Feng Lin got out of the car, he looked around and raised his eyebrows. With surprise. There is actually an ancient warrior here, but his level is very low, Min Jin's initial peak. I still can't beat Zhu Boying. But to ordinary people, he is considered a strong person. Mouse. Outside the company, several guards nodded to Mouse. Is the boss there? Mouse asked with a smile. Here. A bald man nodded and opened the factory door. Mouse looked at Fen Lin next to him and his tone gradually became arrogant. Follow me. This is their base camp and they have weapons in their hands. Even if Fen Lin could fight again, he still wouldn't be taken down with a single shot. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and followed him calmly. As for the woman next to him, someone grabbed her shoulders and pulled her behind. The factory is very empty. The mouse did not take Fen Lin to the deepest part of the factory, but instead opened the side door next to it. Fen Lin followed the mouse's footsteps and found that there was a beach outside the door. Not far away is the sea. Now that the sky has darkened, the sea breeze blows from afar and a very strong smell of the sea irritates the nasal cavity. There were mats on the beach and a tall man with his hair parted on the side was lying on the mat. He was wearing only shorts and was surrounded by two women who were massaging him. Fen Lin narrowed his eyes slightly. Grandpa, this kind of person really knows how to enjoy it. When he returns home this time, he should also teach Zuluing. Boss. This time I brought a pretty girl. The mouse walked over, knelt down next to the tall man, and whispered in his ear. Fen Lin here heard it very clearly and told this person everything that happened this time. Oh. The lying man raised his head, looked at Fen Lin, and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. I don't know you. When the mouse heard this, his face suddenly became cold. Someone, why not? Him. After hearing this, the sound of a man coming from a distance could be heard, holding a gun in his hand. Just as he was about to act, the mouse waved. Give it to me, I'll do it myself. This kid hurt his hand and would definitely take revenge. He won't kill Fen Lin immediately. He also wants to see the other party begging for mercy, letting him know that some people can't be offended with a crisp sound. The gun fell on the spot. No one knows what happened. Fen Lin calmly walked over, picked up the gun on the ground, and aimed at the mouse's head. The mouse looked in disbelief and fell reluctantly. Blood flowed down the beach, seeping into the sand, leaving only black marks in the end. When the two women surrounding the boss saw this, they screamed and ran towards the sea in the distance. And screaming. Because she was so excited, one of the women with short hair fell down several times. As for the man controlling this woman, he immediately quit and called someone. The college student in front of him was so scared that his legs became weak, his heartbeat accelerated, and his brain became congested. Because he was so excited, he knelt on the beach and fainted from fear. You have always lived in a safe country. When have you seen something like this? Especially two people died in front of his eyes. Only the boss seemed normal. Boy, don't you look like an ordinary person. Ryuga's tone was very calm. Since he didn't know himself, he still dared to enter only when he heard that it was a snakehead. Especially the person who died first, he didn't know how the other party attacked. As he spoke, the men rushed over and pointed at Fen Lin. Brat. Put down the gun and kneel. Boy, if you dare to touch our boss, I will kill you right now. Fen Lin did not say a word. He just took the gun in his hand and pointed it between his eyebrows. Everyone present seemed confused, wondering what Fen Lin was going to do. Boom. Fen Lin pulled the trigger without hesitation. Buzz. The bullet that flew out suddenly stopped in front of Fen Lin's forehead, who held it between two fingers and waited casually. Oh. The thrown bullet penetrated a man's calf and blood gushed out. Seeing this, the group of people were stunned. They rubbed their eyes and thought they were dreaming. Have you met a god? Of all the people present, only Ryuga knew who he met. Although his strength is humble, he can still be considered an ancient warrior no matter what. Know what this kingdom represents. He no longer had the same calm expression as before. He knelt on the beach trembling, waving to the people in the distance with a respectful expression. Get out now. Yeah. Even if Ryuga didn't say it. Whatever, they were ready to escape. Something beyond his imagination was happening before his eyes. Senior, I am here, but I am not here to welcome you. I am sorry. You are considered an ancient warrior, why did you do such a thing? Fen Lin tossed the gown aside and sat down. The Beacon asked. Chapter 240 I really want to pay you. When Ryuga saw Fen Lin sitting down, he immediately stood up and said with a smile. I caused trouble in China and escaped here. Have you ever heard of the Secret Legion? Fen Lin asked lightly. Senior is a member of the Secret Legion. Have mercy on me, Senior. I admit that I kidnapped and trafficked Chinese women, but these are not good people. Ryuga was so scared that he knelt on the ground again. I'll never let my men force them. There are simply small known advertisements posted on the wall. They took the initiative to find us. Get up and speak. Fen Lin looked at the beach in the distance. The two women hiding in the sea just now poked their heads out. Yes. Ryuga stood up again. It seems that you know the Hidden Legion. 2 days ago, someone from the Hidden Legion was on a mission here and suddenly disappeared. Fen Lin took out his mobile phone, found Lan Rao's photo, and handed it to Hugo. Have you seen her? No, I had seen it before. Older people also know that this is a tourist destination. People from all over the world come here every day. How come I have seen all of you? Hugo shook his head. He paused and continued, this place is not like China. It is very safe and full of cameras. It's very difficult to find someone. Find a way to exchange the life of the hidden army for your life, Fen Lin said expressionlessly. Hugo's heart trembled. He looked at the 2 dead men next to him and knew that Fen Lin was not joking. This is also normal. With Fen Lin's strength, killing him was like taking something out of a bag. What island is it? Hugo asked. It's the biggest island. Fen Lin explained. The previous news said that Lan Rao and the others lost contact here. There is still hope for this island. I know a boss here. This woman is so beautiful. Maybe they've seen her before. As Hugo spoke, the woman next to him who fainted from fear suddenly woke up. Fen Lin stopped Hugo and looked at the woman expressionlessly. What's your name? Wai Shuan. The woman's voice trembled. Okay, go and stand on the beach. Don't interrupt our conversation. Fen Lin pointed to the distance and said. She didn't want a stranger to hear this kind of conversation. Yeah. Yes. Wai Shuan immediately ran over there, not daring to look back. Continue. Fen Lin looked at Hugo. Zack is the underground boss here. He often looks for beautiful women near the airport and kidnaps and extorts those who are alone, Hugo explained. He has a lot of armed forces, but to older people, they are nothing. Okay. Call him now, Feng said Lin excitedly. Hugo took out his mobile phone and dialed a number. After a while, the call was connected. Mr. Zack, it's me, Yu, Hugo said in the local language. Old Yu. What's wrong? I'm in the South Island today to talk about business, and I won't be able to return until tomorrow. Zack said with a smile there. Okay, let's talk in person tomorrow. Hugo turned off the phone and said to Fen Lin, Senior, you're in the South Island, far away from here. You can't come back until tomorrow. It seems that we can only wait until tomorrow. Fen Lin stood up and sighed lightly, hoping that Lan Rao was okay. Senior, I will find you a place to stay. Hugo smiled respectfully. No need for now, I will go around the area and I'll come back to pick you up later. After Fen Lin finished speaking, he left here. Hugo finally breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Fen Lin leaving. Fen Lin bought a peaked cap to simply disguise himself. Walking on the street, looking for ancient warriors. Now that Lan Rao has entered the level of an ancient warrior, those who can catch her are definitely not ordinary people. Fen Lin is now afraid that someone from Jialan will kill Lan Rao. Jialan's perspective, Min Jin's trash is the lowest level soldier of the Hidden Legion. There is no need to capture them alive. After wandering late into the night, Fen Lin couldn't find him. It seemed that he could only wait. See you tomorrow. Returning to the factory, Hugo personally took Fen Lin to the top floor of the factory. The rooms here are not large, similar to standard rooms in a normal hotel. But there's a balcony at the back and you can see the sea. It's barely a room with a sea view. Senior, you can rest here today. When Zack comes back tomorrow, I will take you there. Hugo was very respectful. For a long time he didn't like this Zack. He often intimidated him in business because of his powerful weapons. Although he is an ancient warrior, his level is too low. If the opponent's barrage passes over him, he will still be hit. Taking the senior with him this time was enough to tarnish his prestige. It's none of your business, go back and rest. Fen Lin greeted Hugo. Senior, do you need a woman? How about I find one to serve you? Hugo said, bowing. No need. Fen Lin shook his head. Okay, then go to bed early. After Hugo finished speaking, he left the room. Fen Lin lay down on the bed and closed his eyes to rest. Now he could only pray to Lan Rao for the blessings of man and nature. Not long after, Fen Lin's door opened. Fen Lin stood up and found Wai Shuan before walking in with his head bowed. What are you doing here? Why don't you go rest? Fen Lin asked with a frown. Scared Wai Shuan carefully walked towards Fen Lin, took off all his clothes, and stood in front of Fen Lin. The moonlight comes through the window and shines on her body, as if she were wearing a silver dress. Fen Lin's expression didn't change at all, it felt like muscle memory. As long as she is in a strange place, let alone her, even a beauty of Zhuang's level. Fen Lin also looked indifferent. Put it on, Fen Lin said calmly. Brother, I am not dirty. I admit that I have done bad things, but I am not an easy person. Wang Shouwan lowered her head, shedding tears, as silent as a mosquito. Brother saved my life. That boss just now. He also said that I don't have to pay back the money I owe. I really want to pay you. Put it on and don't make me say it a third time. Fen Lin's voice was a little colder. Yes. Wang Shouwan trembled in fear, quickly squatted down and picked up the clothes on the floor. After dressing, she sat on the sofa next to her, keeping her head down and saying nothing. She had experienced so many things today that scared her. Only on Fen Lin's side did she feel a little more at ease. College are you? Fen Lin asked. Yangtze University. I'm a sophomore this year, Wang Shouwan hurriedly explained. Fen Lin nodded. No wonder we were on a plane with him. He was just a sophomore. Only 1 year older than Tang Qian. In comparison, Tang Qian is really a good girl. Even if I know that I have no money, I am still very confident. Early the next morning, Fen Lin left the room. Hurriedly followed Fen Lin. Liu found the two of them walking out of a room with an all-seeing smile. Sir, miss, breakfast is ready. Liu showed great respect not only for Fen Lin, but also for Wang Shouwan. Wang Shouwan was flattered, but she was still a college student anyway. You can probably guess what happened. Liu felt that he had slept with Fen Lin and felt that she was Fen Lin's woman now, which was why he was so respectful. Chapter 241 Lanru's whereabouts. Wang Shouwan straightened her hair and followed Fen Lin closely. After what happened yesterday, he has matured a lot. Knowing that all of this was given by Fen Lin, the only thing he could do now was remain silent. Fen Lin and Wang Shouwan, led by Liu, ate local fruit salad here. Sir, Zack is back. Liu said with a smile. Okay, take me there now. Fen Lin immediately stood up and only when he was sure of Lan Rao's safety could he completely relax. Okay, I'll prepare the car right now. Liu took out his mobile phone and made a call. Well, brother, where are you going? Can I accompany you? Wang Shouwan saw Fen Lin seem to leave and ran to Fen Lin's side. No. Fen Lin took out a small wad of bills from his body. It's already dawn. You can go back to China. After handing over the money in his hand, Fen Lin left. Wang Shouwan looked at Fen Lin's back, stunned. Fen Lin followed Liu out of the factory. After a while, Liu gathered a dozen people and drove 5 cars in total. All of these people were armed. Liu was mainly afraid that Fen Lin would run away halfway and would not be able to go there alone. If he were killed, where would he turn to reason? So I still need to bring some people with me and give them some ideas. Sir, I am on the east coast of this island and Zack is on the west, but his power is much greater than mine. On the way, Liu introduced Fen Lin to the general distribution here. They have a good relationship on the surface, but often compete secretly. Fen Lin was not interested in their relationship at all. Now he just wants to make sure Lan Ru is safe. About 20 minutes. They all stopped in front of a bar. Fen Lin entered the bar under the leadership of Liu. It was morning and there weren't many people in the bar. Compared to the bars in Yun City, this place is much simpler. On the couch of the other end sat a South Asian man. He had a cigarette in his mouth, a bald head and a scar on his head, and he looked fierce. Behind this man was a line of men, all armed. Haha. Old Liu, why do you miss me suddenly? What's wrong? Zack said with a smile. I have nothing to do with you. It's just that I met this gentleman recently and he wants to find you. Liu pointed to Fen Lin next to him. Stop talking nonsense, Fen Lin spoke in English. Although the local language is a local language, it is a tourist destination. Most locals can speak English. Boy. Stop. A strong man behind Zack raised his gun and shouted at Fen Lin. Fen Lin was too lazy to talk nonsense with these people. He stepped on the ground. Boom. The ground under his feet instantly sank and collapsed, and the entire bar was crumbling. All the wine bottles on the bar in the distance fell to the floor. Shock. Zack was stunned. The cigarettes in his hands fell to the ground. As for the people behind them, they all looked at me and I looked at you, not knowing what to do. What the hell, is Superman here? The corners of Liu's mouth curled up slightly. It seemed like this senior at least had the transformation realm. Not to mention that in a country like this, even in China, one can become a rich family. Fen Lin took out his cell phone, found Lan Rao's photo, and looked at Zack's face. Have you seen this woman? She disappeared 2 days ago. This woman, Zack's expression suddenly changed. Fen Lin caught his expression and said with a smile, it seems like he knows him, sir. I met this person 3 nights ago. My younger brother saw her alone and came over to talk to her. Finally, one arm was broken. Zack pointed to Lan Rao's photo. I was planning to get revenge, but I found the hotel where she rented, but they didn't find anyone. Do you know the hotel where she lives? Fen Lin asked immediately. You know, I know all the hotel owners on this island. It's very simple to ask someone. Zack nodded. Okay. Fen Lin was a little happy and finally found clues. Take me there now. Yes. Zack nodded, got up in person and carried Fen Lin there. Fen Lin patted Hugo on the shoulder and said, you can go back. Hugo nodded, took his younger brothers and left immediately. Fen Lin got into a Mercedes-Benz and Zack asked him. Asked the driver to take him to the hotel. Did you never see her again after that? Fen Lin asked on the way. No. I asked the boss and she rented it for a month. I sent people to stay there for several days and then evacuated people without seeing anyone. Zack felt that the other party knew his identity and was scared. To China early. When he arrived at this hotel, Fen Lin found that the level was not. It was equivalent to a national 3-star hotel. Under the leadership of Zack, Fen Lin arrived at room 703 on the 7th floor. Zack ordered the waiter who followed him to open the door. He didn't dare to say anything else. Fen Lin walked in and carefully observed everything around him. When he reached the window, Fen Lin ran his hand along the bottom of the window and found dust, which should be footprints. Camera investigated. Fen Lin turned around and asked. We investigated. She didn't come back that night. Zack nodded. Fen Lin took out his mobile phone and turned on a built-in signal collector. Only the mobile phones of the top leaders of the secret legion of this function. Sure enough, I found red dots in the cabinet. Fen Lin walked to the cabinet, jumped slightly, and saw a black round listening device on it. Only the size of a miniature. This is the model of the secret legion. Lan Ru should have returned. However, she jumped out of the window. She turned around the mistake and entered the code on her mobile phone. Then she swiped her face to enter the manager's identity and found the voice as expected. The sound started with a crisp sound. Lan Rao was probably too anxious and not. He had time to hide the insect, so he could only throw it on the cabinet. Afterwards, the ground shook. The voice of a middle-aged man came from inside. Are you alone? Who are you? Lan Ru's voice. Fen Lin felt happy that he had finally found it. I am the person you are monitoring, the middle-aged man said calmly. What surveillance? I don't understand what you're talking about, Lan Zhu said. What are you pretending to be? You're a member of the Chinese Hidden Legion. You're here to monitor us. I have noticed you for a long time. If I don't arrest you, you'll want to fish. Tell me. Where? Is it the others? I'm just here on a trip. He can't be an ancient warrior or a secret legion, right? I'm from a rich family in China. Stop talking nonsense. Follow me. What are you doing? Let me go. My name is Feng Rao. You can call my family to confirm. 4216, 8713. Then there was the sound of the window shaking, and it was obvious that they had jumped out. Zack and others next to him didn't understand Chinese, so they could only stand there and wait. Silently. Fen Lin smiled. Lan Ru's quite a smart woman. This is the language code of the Hidden Legion. Translated, this string of numbers means under the bed in mobile phone. The bedouin saw a Nokia. He took it out, looked at it, and found that it was still in monitoring and recording mode. In other words, Lan Rao was also wearing a listening device. Chapter 242 The Third Sect. Fen Lin turned on his Nokia phone and saved the recorded sound. Start listening from the beginning. At first there was the sound of Lan Rao struggling, but then there was no sound. Fen Lin began to speed up his voice and listen from behind. Looking at the time, he heard Lan Ru's voice again a few minutes ago. I don't understand why you arrested me. I have been detained for 3 days, this voice came from Lan Ru. Hearing this, Fen Lin finally breathed a sigh of relief. Lan Rao was still alive and he felt relieved. Shut up. If it hadn't been for the instructions from above do not touch you and say that you were still useful, I would have punished you a long time ago. A fierce voice came from the other side. We're on a boat, right? Why do I feel shaky? Lan Rao's voice suddenly became louder. I need to go to the bathroom. Hey. Let's solve it on the spot. If it's small, I can drink it. By the way, I'll help you live good clean. The voice of the man opposite was very lascivious. You're so beautiful, you deserve preferential treatment. I haven't eaten for a few days, and I smell roast sapling pig rice. Buy me some. Lan Ru's voice rang again. The sound stopped abruptly here. Where can I get roast sapling pig rice on the beach? Fen Lin put away his phone and asked in English. Since he was on a boat, he must have been parked on the shore, and Lan Ru said he smelled the aroma of roast sapling pig. On the north coast, there's a very famous restaurant and the price is cheap. After all, Zack has been here for many years, so he naturally knows the surrounding environment very well. When Fen Lin heard this, he immediately put his cell phone on his body and said, "Take me there." "All right." Zack nodded and asked his men to take Fen Lin there. In about 10 minutes, Fen Lin was already close to the coast. Suddenly, Fen Lin looked into the distance, his hanging heart finally fell to the ground, and a smile appeared on his face. Fen Lin opened the window in the back row and said with a smile, "You can go back." After that, Fen Lin disappeared. Sir, Zack was stunned before he could finish speaking. He stretched his head, looking for Fen Lin's figure. There was no one anywhere. "What the hell, let's go!" Zack yelled at the driver. Fen Lin arrived at the coast and found that this place was not a picturesque place. There is no beach here, but it looks like a port. There are many boats parked in the distance. Many people are eating in this open-air restaurant, and what they eat is roast suckling pig rice. Fen Lin felt a breath in the distance and slowly approached. There was an iron cage in the inner cabin of the ship, and Lan was locked inside wearing ordinary black casual clothes. Outside the cage, there was a sturdy man with small eyes. He was lying next to her, looking at his phone and drinking a beer. Lan was now sitting on the ground, not knowing what to do. Counting time, she has been detained for more than 2 days. The boat was always in his socks. After so much talking they almost gave up. I can't really find a topic. Not only that, what he just said was not a lie, he really wanted to go to the bathroom. Although I haven't eaten for 2 days, I really can't hold it anymore. This is the real world, not the movie heroine who has been imprisoned for many years and never eats, drinks or defecates. Lan was a little lucky. Fortunately he was wearing black clothes. It seems I have no choice but to pee my pants. Just as he was getting ready, he heard someone jump onto the deck. The strong man next to him immediately stood up and sneered. "Little sister, I look forward to your fate." He handed over his hands respectfully, but found someone he didn't recognize approaching. But Lan ran to him. Her eyes widened at first and then tears came. Unexpectedly, Fen Lin came to save her. "Boy, who are you?" The man pointed at Fen Lin. Without saying a word, Fen Lin kicked him in the stomach. Boom. The man flew back and hit the chair far away, breaking it into pieces. "Are you okay?" Fen Lin approached the cage and asked with a smile. "How did you know I was here?" Lan Rao burst into tears. "Your grandfather texted me and told me you disappeared. I know all the things you left in the room." Fen Lin took out his Nokia phone from his body. "I have to say that in terms of the knowledge of the intelligence department, you have learned a lot. Not bad. Be careful." Lan Rao suddenly pointed behind Fen Lin. The man behind him quickly attacked Fen Lin with a dagger in his hand. Fen Lin didn't even look back, he turned slightly to the side to avoid the opponent's attack. Then, Fen Lin's hand was gently placed on the other party's shoulder. Boom. The man's body seemed to have been hit hard and hit the ground with a crash. A human figure appeared on the iron sheet below the ship. Fen Lin took his dagger, crouched down and put it next to his neck. "Tell me, who is it? If you want to kill, just kill." "Ah." As the man was speaking, Fen Lin's dagger penetrated his palm and blood flowed through it. Lan Rao frowned slightly, but continued to stare at the wound without turning away. "I give you 10 seconds to think carefully about whether the other party is worth your life." Fen Lin took out the dagger and said without expression. For 6 seconds, the man finally couldn't stand the pressure. "I said. I am the hound of the third sect in the land of Jiao. My name is Bonin." "The third sect?" Fen Lin was a little surprised. Until now, he has received all the news about the land of Jiao sect and the second sect. This is the first time I have heard about the third sect. "Yes, our third sect gathered here and received news that there are people from the Chinese Hidden Legion here," Bonin explained. "We were ordered to gather in disguise to catch the people who were watching us." "People?" Fen Lin looked at Lan Rao. "Yes, but we are scattered on several nearby islands and not together," Lan Rao nodded. Problem. Fen Lin's hand grabbed the lock of the cage. "Use a jin." Boom. He opened the lock. Fen Lin opened the cell and grabbed Lan Rao's arm. "Come out. Do not touch me." Lan Rao suddenly shook off Fen Lin's hand, her legs trembling. "What's wrong?" Fen Lin asked strangely. Lan Rao's pretty face turned red. She lowered her head and said, "I feel like if I move, I might leak." Fen Lin didn't react at first, but then remembered what he said in the previous recording. "Let's fix it right there. I'll go out with him." Fen Lin took off the shirt of the man next to him and covered his head. Then he grabbed him by the neck and left the cabin. Lan Rao really couldn't hold on anymore. When he saw Fen Lin leave, he immediately crouched down. "Hurry up and hide, someone is coming." Fen Lin simply walked out and turned back. Chapter 243 Treasure. Then, the two looked at each other. Also accompanied by the sound of flowing water. Ah. Lanra's face was red, her head was buzzing, and she almost fell. Tears welled up in her eyes and she couldn't help but scream. But there's no point in shouting. After all, after holding it for so long, it can't completely disappear at once. Fen Lin looked a little embarrassed and turned around immediately. Cover your ears. Cover your ears. Lanra's voice was filled with tears and she felt that her reputation in this life was gone. Okay. Fen Lin immediately pushed the man in his hand to the ground. The man's head was wrapped in clothes and could not be seen at all. Fen Lin pressed his ears with both hands. I told you to cover your ears. Lanra was going crazy. How would he face Fen Lin in the future? I can't. I covered it with my hands. This person might have torn off his clothes, Fen Lin explained next to him. Lanra had no choice but to continue hitting the iron cage with his hands to cover the sound. Finally, Lanra stood up and adjusted her pants, her face looking like a ripe apple. Fen Lin looked outside and felt that the distance was almost there. He knocked the person under him unconscious and threw him into the sea. Whether he lives or dies depends on his luck. This person in the late autumn stage is of no use. Fen Lin's figure suddenly came out, like a rushing beast, and a dagger fell in front of a middle-aged man's neck. The middle-aged man was wearing a suit and had a mustache. Strength is the last stage of transformation. For you and Fen Lin. When the middle-aged man saw Fen Lin's appearance, his face suddenly turned pale. Now that you know me, I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Fen Lin grabbed his arm and walked into the cabin. Lanra still stood here, not knowing what expression to use to face Fen Lin. This is too embarrassing. Seeing the middle-aged man with a mustache that Fen Lin brought over, Lanra cautiously said, Fen Lin, be careful, this man is very strong. Okay, he doesn't dare to waste time. After Fen Lin inadvertently arrived at the cabin and saw wet water stains inside the cage. Water dripped from Lanra's cheeks. He immediately stood in front of Fen Lin and said coldly, what are you looking at? Sorry, this is the instinctive reaction of an expert. If there's a change in one place, I will do it. Always be the first to respond. Watch it. Fen Lin looked embarrassed and let go of the mustachioed middle-aged man. Be careful, this person is very strong. I was captured by him before. Lanra grabbed Fen Lin's arm, he also captured our captain this time. Haha, don't worry, beauty, Mr. Death Doctor, now I don't dare act rashly. Wasp took a few steps back, leaning against the bulkhead with his hands in his trouser pockets. You know what he's talking about. That. Dr. Death. Lanra had misheard before. She thought he was talking about Dead Knight. After all, she had known for a long time that Fen Lin was a member of Dead Knight, but later she felt something was wrong. Dead Doctor. How could this be possible for his own idol? You admitted it wrong. How could he be the Doctor of Death? Lanra couldn't believe that his idol was always by his side. Admit my mistake, I want to admit my mistake too, but the Fen Lin in front of me is the Doctor of Death. Wasp said with an indifferent expression. Fen Lin, Doctor of Death. Lanra looked at Fen Lin. If she said the name Doctor of Death, she could be wrong. But the name Fen Lin is unmistakable. Fen Lin, are you really Doctor of Death? Lanra only realized how terrifying the Death Doctor was after entering the Secret Legion. Almost everyone says that Dead Knight's Dr. Doom is a legend. I used to be, but now that I'm retired, I'm just Fen Lin. Fen Lin shrugged with a smile. The Death Doctor. You're the Death Doctor. Lanra then remembered that when she asked Fen Lin about the Death Doctor, he blatantly rejected the Death Doctor. Turns out he was bragging. Thinking about how much my grandfather cared about Fen Lin, I can now explain it. It turns out that her Fianc is actually a Secret Legion legend. Ranked second on the world's Tianven map. Hu Xiujian's youngest genius. The leader of the Dead Knight who makes the world fear him. Fen Lin, let's get married. Lanra danced and then hugged Fen Lin's shoulders. Fen Lin rolled his eyes, aren't you shy so soon? Lanra blushed slightly, looked at the cage, lowered her head and said, anyway, I will watch you get married in the future. You can take it away, when will it be? Are you as insensitive as Zuoying? Fen Lin pushed away Lanra's hand, looked at Wasp in front of him, and said lightly, wouldn't you introduce yourself? The 72nd Isha, the third sect, Wasp. Wasp clenched his fists with great respect. The land of the Nine Netherworlds is truly powerful. Fen Lin looked at the middle-aged people in front of him. There were 72 demons of the underworld. Earth among them. In other words, this person is the weakest among the Earth evil spirits. But the weakest Earth demons have already entered the late stage of transformation. That's it. Ridiculous, Wasp asked with a smile, a big shot like you must keep his word. Let's say it clearly. How can we let me go? Where are my other companions? Lan Rao spoke first. After she was caught, she was beaten unconscious. When I woke up, she was here. She still refuses to admit that she is a member of the Legion. Hidden, I remember Wasp said that he had captured several secret legions on other islands. Thank you for the reminder. Beauty Wasp looked at Fen Lin with a smile. How about we exchange the lives of the 2 secret legions with mine? No. Fen Lin flatly refused. The 2 low-level newcomers of the secret legion. I'm not that stupid if you change the earthly demon of the 9 Netherlands. Fen Lin, those 2 people, shut up. I didn't save you because you're a member of the Hidden Legion, but because you're my fiancé. Fen Lin interrupting Lan Rao. People from the secret legion get hurt and killed all the time. Do you think I will rescue them one by one? Lan Rao lowered her head and remained silent. Tell me, what is your purpose this time? Fen Lin asked. She would not make another mistake and would never allow this person to commit suicide. If I tell you, will you let me go? Wasp shrugged. If you don't let me go, why should I tell you? Lives, Fen Lin said. No, I will not betray Jiaworth. Wasp paused and continued. I will only tell you what our 3rd sect is doing here this time, in exchange for 2 more lives. Fen Lin nodded slightly. Yes, I agree. I believe in Mr. Fen Lin's character. I, the dignified Ji Odisha, do not have a light AU. Wasp paused and explained. Odisha from the 9th sect stole the treasure of Jia land and is currently missing. Where is he missing? Then why are you here? Fen Lin asked. After our various investigations, we know that the woman and child raised outside Disha live here. We now know that she is hiding in Jiangnan, China, Wasp said with a smile. If nothing else happens, our people should hurry. Yeah. Why are you, the 3rd sect, so eager for the 9th sect? Fen Lin asked strangely. He stole the treasure of the 9th sect. Not only our 3rd sect, but also other sects took action. Sir, you should understand why. Wasp showed a meaningful smile. Will you not go? Fen Lin asked in a deep voice. Chapter 244. Niu, you're getting crazier and crazier. I do not know anything about this. Wasp shook his head. Where exactly is it in Jiangnan? Anyway, Jiangnan and Jiangbai were next to each other, so Fen Lin came over to take a look when he had nothing to do. Wasp said with a smile. The provincial capital of Jiangnan is Gu City. Fen Lin nodded. This would make things easier. I heard before that he was in Gu City. You can also ask them for help when the time comes. Okay, let those 2 people go now. Fen Lin felt that the matter was almost over. The main purpose of his coming here this time was to rescue Lan Rao. Alright. Wasp took out his cell phone and sent a message to his servant. It didn't take long for Fen Lin to feel the breath fluctuation. In the distance, there were a man and a woman. All the strength is in a Jin's early stage. Behind the 2 of them were people in the mid-dungeon stage. Fen Lin grabbed Wasp by the shoulders and jumped from the boat to the shore. Lan Rao immediately followed Fen Lin. He saw the 2 people in the distance and quickly shouted, Captain Keon. Shall ask them to let them go, Fen Lin said to Wasp. Isn't it good? When you let them go, shouldn't you let me go too? Wasp looked at Fen Lin with a smile. Don't talk nonsense to me. Maybe I'll have an idea after a while. Fen Lin's voice gradually became colder. But then everyone will die. Let them go. Wasp shouted at the 2 people in the distance. He believed in strength. Even if they let him go now, he still couldn't escape Fen Lin's reach. The 2 Jialan members in the distance let those 2 people go. Lan Rao immediately ran over and several people greeted her. Fen Lin let go of Wasp's shoulder. Next time we meet, you won't be so lucky. Thank you. Although we are enemies, many people in Jialand admire you, sir. Wasp immediately ran away and told his friends. Fen Lin, let him go like this. Lan Rao asked from the side. Under normal circumstances, I am a person who keeps his word. Vincent walked away. Let's go back to China, okay? Lan Rao nodded with a smile. True, who was this person? That middle-aged man is very strong. None of us have a chance to resist. How can he catch the other person? Shaoli next to Lan Rao asked in a low voice. Like Lan Rao, she is a new member of the Hidden Legion. This is my fiancé, named Fen Lin. Lan Rao explained with a smile that Fen Lin's identity was a secret and he would definitely not tell anyone else. What's more, he hopes that all the women in the world will think that Fen Lin is trash. Only then will he have no competitors. To Zhu Ruan first, now she is entering the Jin's initial peak. Zhu Ruan may not be able to touch her, so this time she should teach him a lesson when she comes back. It turns out that he is her fiancé. It must be very powerful, otherwise Mr. Lan would not agree. Captain Keon next to him couldn't help but feel envious. Grandpa, the first mission failed. Jolie comforted him. After all, the B-level missions are good for us if we can survive. Yes. This time it was my negligence as a captain. We newcomers should start from the lowest level missions. Captain Keon sighed lightly. I originally feel that I will definitely die this time. Captain, my fiancé just interrogated the other party and found out his purpose. After all, our mission seems to be completed. Lanru smiled beside him. What? Is it okay? Captain Keon was surprised. This is a B-level mission. If you can complete it, you will definitely be praised. Fen Lin, you don't mind, right? Lan Rao accelerated a few steps and followed behind. Fen Lin and hugged his arm. I don't care, but I will definitely not rescue you next time. Fen Lin looked at Lan Ru blankly. If your grandfather hadn't called me, you would have died. You are so ambitious and you don't think about yourself. The three of them were silent. Captain Keon and Jolie knew deep in their hearts that the Secret Legion lost contact while carrying out their mission. The rescue will not be sent until 7 days later. They may already be dead by then. Fen Lin is right. The four of them came to the airport together and bought tickets. Captain Keon and Jolie were going to go back and report the news they received this time to their superiors. Fen Lin asked for Lan Rao. She and Fen Lin bought a ticket to Yun City together. After all, Yun City is the provincial capital and there are direct plane tickets from here. She planned to go to Yun City to teach him a lesson. To Zhu Ruang and face their own differences. After that, I will return to Jiang City to see my grandfather and dad. Fen Lin, why didn't you take the main entrance just now? Lan Rao asked strangely. After getting on the plane. With the firearm pointed at Fen Lin, he would definitely be stopped if he crossed the main entrance. You are now in a state where you can pass through security without anyone noticing. I have weapons. Fen Lin smiled and took out a fire lotus seed from his pocket. Eat it, this is a treasure. Fen Lin currently has 5 more, and 2 of them already have candidates. They are Lan Rao and Zhu Yan. What is this? Lan Rao looked at him strangely. Fen Lin explained. This is called fire lotus seed. It is a treasure. Eating it can improve your realm. I wasted such a precious thing by eating it. Lan Rao immediately handed the fire lotus seed to Fen Lin. Eat it, I have already eaten it. This kind of treasure will lose its effectiveness if you eat too much. Fen Lin took the fire lotus seeds and stuffed them into Lan Rao's mouth. Lan Rao swallowed, leaned on Fen Lin's shoulder and closed her eyes. She was extremely nervous for the past few days after being caught. No one slept. Now that I'm relaxing, drowsiness comes over me. Cloud City. It's already 4 in the afternoon. Fen Lin and Lan Rao left the airport together. Are you going back to Jiang City now? Fen Lin asked after arriving outside the airport. I'll go back to you first and let my family pick me up. Anyway, it only takes an hour or 2 on the road. Lan Rao didn't say it openly, so she couldn't say it directly to Fen Lin. Prepare to go back and teach Zhu Ruang a lesson so that he can see what true power is. Fen Lin nodded, stopped the taxi and headed to the villa with Lan Rao. Return to the villa. Zhu Ruang is not here. At this moment she hasn't gotten off work yet. Lan Rao arrived at the villa with a gloomy expression on her face. This bastard Zhu Ruang actually took advantage of her to train outside. Secretly living with Fen Lin. Fen Lin, I'm still a little tired and I want to sleep for a while. Lan Ru took out a cucumber from the refrigerator and went upstairs while eating it. Fen Lin didn't bother him, he really should have a good rest. At 5:30 in the afternoon, Zhu Ruang hurriedly returned from work. When he saw Fen Lin returning, he smiled and greeted, then returned to the room to change his clothes and prepare to train. I opened the door and found a person lying on my bed. Take a closer look, isn't this Lan Ru? There was a flash of ecstasy on his face. Finally come. I had been waiting for this day for a long time. Weren't you so crazy before? Then let's fight. Lan Rao. Come up here. Who told you to lie here with me? Zhu Ruang stepped forward, grabbed Lan Rao's ears and lifted her up. Lan Rao opened her eyes and saw Zhu Ruang coming back. Her eyes they gradually turned cold. Nivanadu, are you getting crazier and crazier? Who allowed you to live with my fiancé? If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 245 Is that all? Surprisingly, Zhu Ruang was not angry. Now that she was a teacher, her mood was different. What bother with ants? He let go of Lan Rao's ears and stood with his hands behind his back, as if feeling cold at altitude. Lan Rao was almost rested. She stood up, stretched and tidied her hair. Nivanadu, you look so pretentious. Haha, you're like an ant, I don't want to argue with you. Zhuang pretty face with disdain on her face, she took out a black sportswear from the closet. Put on the clothes in front of Lang Ru. Especially when changing her blouse, she straightened her body very domineeringly, showing her proud figure. Fen Lin is my fiancé, who gave you the courage to live together. Lan Ru's face was very cold. Fen Lin is my man, he has been from the beginning. How dare you, a lover, bark in front of me? Zhuang changed her clothes indifferently. Interesting. If you don't beat Fang Jiwa for a few days, do you think I won't dare to beat you? Lan Rao shook her neck slightly, pointed at Zhuang and said, shall we have a round? Alright. But we will still go out. Let's fight. Zhuang crossed her arms and almost laughed. I didn't expect to hand him over myself. Haha, if you're afraid, say it. If you go out and fight, won't you let Feng Lin see me bullying you? Lan Rao said lightly, what's more, I'm doing it on your own. Good. Here I will throw you on the sofa and on the quilt. It doesn't hurt much. Ha ha ha. Lan Rao, are you looking down on me? Zhuang laughed out loud. She looked left and right and finally walked towards the iron hang-on next to her. 5 here, I'm afraid of damaging my house. As she spoke, Zhuang grabbed the iron frame with one hand, and when she let go, a clear fingerprint appeared on it. When Lan Rao saw this, her pupils suddenly shrank. This kind of power is definitely not something ordinary people can do. Possess. Could it be possible? Zhuang also entered the realm of ancient warriors. Then get out of here, trash, do you want to fight with me over a man? That's all. Is that all? Zhuang's face was filled with disdain. She had never felt as happy as she did today. Although I don't want to admit it, it's true. Since she was a child, Lan Ru had always pressured her. You, alright. Let's go out then. Lan Rao, who had entered the peak of the early stage of Lin, snorted coldly. In addition to taking the treasure that Feng Lin gave me, I feel that there's a constant flow of power in the body that impacts the meridians. If he doesn't believe it, he won't be able to beat Zhuang. After defeating you, I still have something to do, so don't waste my time. Zhuang put her hands in her pants pockets and walked down the stairs with a haughty expression. Lan Rao followed Zhuang. Feng Lin saw them. Two go down together and asked with a smile, what are we going to eat later? Zhuang said with a smile, husband, before eating, let me give you some guidance. Feng Lin, Zhuang wanted to ask me for advice, so I agreed, Lan Rao said with a smile. Yes, okay, let's go. Feng Lin nodded, got up and followed the two of them. She was very curious because she couldn't see who would win. For pure Diki, it must be Zhuang. Now she is in a midterm. But Lan Rao's fighting skills are very strong and have been accumulated for many years. Zhuang has only practiced for a few days and still needs to improve. The two stood on the grass outside the villa, looking at each other. Suddenly, the two ran towards each other at the same time, bringing their legs together. Boom. Their long legs collided with each other. Everyone was shaken by the force of the reaction. Lan Rao's eyes narrowed into a thin line. Zhuang had indeed become an ancient warrior, and her power now even surpassed his own. Zhuang finally understood, no wonder he couldn't beat her before. It turns out that Lan Rao is also an ancient warrior. However, this way she will not be merciful. Oh. Zhuang leaned over and attacked from the side. Drill. Lan Rao and Zhuang clashed fists, feeling infinite power pouring out. She immediately backed away and walked 2 meters away. Lan Rao shook her fist slightly. She didn't know what Zhuang had gone through, but her strength had surpassed her. Now it seems we can't move forward. Feng Lin sat on the steps in front of the villa and found that the two of them were evenly matched. Relatively speaking, Zhuang's attacks were more violent, while Lan Rao used more skillful attacks. He didn't bother to give any advice and was going to go to the second master's house. Tell him about Jiangnan. Arriving at the villa, Feng Lin found Men Chengsheng sitting in a wheelchair, drinking wine and watching TV. He looked around and asked strangely, where are those people? The girls went shopping. Men Chengsheng smiled and took a sip of wine, has that person been rescued? Well, everything went well and we also got news. Disha stole the treasure of the 9th sect and is currently in Jiangnan. Feng Lin sat on the sofa and crossed his legs. Are you going there? Men Chengsheng said with a smile. Try your luck. Not to mention getting the treasure, it's good to catch Disha. Feng Lin nodded. Since he was a traitor Disha, he would definitely be willing to share the information about Jiangnan. After chatting with the second master for a while, Feng Lin went up to the second floor. And arrived at Sakam Jin's room. He was playing in front of the computer, surrounded by bottles of Fat House Happy Water. Okay, fourth brother, we are close. Fen Lin stood next to Sakam Jin, who was now there. Reached the peak of the middle stage of the divine orifice realm. One step away from entering the late stage of the divine realm. This time, when he went to Jiangnan, he planned to take Sakam Jin there. We can no longer let him stay at home. It should be the effect of fire lotus seeds. This is really powerful. I can still feel the power emanating from my body. Sakam Jin nodded. Mainly because of your talent as a monster. Fen Lin sat on the sofa, smiling and spreading his hands. In the dark night, there is no doubt about the talent in the room. Son. His strength has been closely pursuing Fen Lin. The key is still to see how hard he works. Come with me to Jiangnan tomorrow to run some errands. Fen Lin stood up and said with a smile. Okay, Sakam Jin nodded. After Fen Lin left here, he went to Zhu Ruang's villa and found that the two were still fighting. But it was different from the previous fights. Now the two are lying on the grass, holding each other's hair. Get up, stop fighting. Fen Lin rolled his eyes and grabbed their arms respectively. And Zhu Ruang fixed her hair and said coldly, you know how to perform a sneak attack. Tactics. Lan Rao now has a much better view of Zhu Ruang. The opponent is indeed much stronger. The two of them seem to have returned to high school. I remember that at that time they were equally powerful when they fought. Okay, Xiaoying, I will send Lan Ru back to Zhang City. He may not come back today. Fen Lin's original plan was to let Lan Ru give the fire lotus seeds to Zhu Yan. But thinking about it, I decided to send it to him personally, without fear of 10,000, only fear of the worst. Just in time to send Lan Ru home. I'll beat you up next time. Zhu Ruang snorted coldly and walked towards the villa. Trash. I won't let you go next time. Lan Rao shouted at Zhu Ruang's back. Okay, stop talking, Fen Lin said helplessly. Chapter 246 The Secrets of the Gu Family. Fen Lin drove his Wuling Huangwing and took Lan Rao back to Zhang City. When we arrived it was already dark. Fen Lin did not go to Zhu's house, but instead took Lan Rao directly to Lan's house. Lan was sitting on the sofa in the living room, watching the news. When he saw Lan Rao returning, he ran over excitedly and grabbed Lan Rao's arm. You scared Grandpa to death. You dared to take on a B-level mission. If you dare to do this again next time, you will abandon the secret army immediately. I'm not back now. Lan Rao said with a smile, then turned around and looked at Fen Lin. I would like to thank Fen Lin this time. If it weren't for him, I might not have come back. Fen Lin, thank you very much. Lanny stood up and bowed respectfully to Fen Lin. We are all our own people, you're welcome. Fen Lin waved his hand. In fact, she is one of us. After all, it is the husband who saves his wife. Lan left. Fen Lin rolled his eyes and said with a smile, I won't bother you. I'll go back first. It's too late. Let's stay here today. Lan looked at Fen Lin. No, I have to go to Zhu's house. Fen Lin smiled and shook his head. After being sent away by Lanny and Lan Rao, Fen Lin drove to Zhu's house. Zhu after arriving here, the sky became completely dark. Mr. Fen Lin. The guard in front of the door was still wondering who came so late. The key is still to push Wuling Huangwen. I realized it was Fen Lin. Thank you for your hard work. Fen Lin greeted a few people and quickly headed to the villa. The lights inside were still on. Fen Lin walked in and found Zhu Yan and Zhu Ziyang having dinner. Seeing someone come in, Zhu Yan looked back and stood up in surprise. Mr. Fen Lin, why are you here? Zhu Ziyang also hurriedly swallowed what was in her mouth. I came here to do something today and I just gave you a treasure. Fen Lin took out a fire lotus seed from his pocket. Eat this, it will be good for your crop. Lotus seed. Fire lotus seed. Zhu Yan opened his mouth in shock. You really know it. Fen Lin was a little surprised and handed it to Zhu Yan. I absolutely can't ask for this. This is too valuable. I can't ask for it. Zhu Yan shook his head. He already owed Fen Lin enough and did not dare to ask for such a thing. Take it if they give it to you. Fen Lin put it into Zhu Yan's hand. I brought it to you especially because I treat you like a friend. Don't be disrespectful. Sir, you must have eaten it. Right. Zhu Yan asked. I have eaten. Fen Lin nodded. Zhu Yan then nodded and swallowed the fire lotus seeds in one gulp. Have you eaten? I will have my servants cook immediately. Zhu Yan quickly ordered someone to prepare bowls and chopsticks. Fen Lin took out his cell phone and looked at the time. It was already past 7. Just plan to eat something here. It's so late, I'll ask my servants to prepare a room for you to rest. Zhu Yan stood up and said. No, I'll just eat something here. I'll have something to do later. Fen Lin finally came at night, preparing to sneak into Gu's house. Go see how Tang Qian is taken care of at the Gu family. Fen Lin said that something happened, but Zhu Yan was too embarrassed to say anything else. After eating, Fen Lin said goodbye and left. He drove to the street a few kilometers from Gu's house. Fen Lin planned to rest in a car tonight. He put on his mask and hat and headed to Gu's house. The Gu family mansion was very large. Fen Lin first sneaked into the largest villa in the center to observe the situation inside. I found an old man. Fen Lin remembered this person. His name was Gu King and he was the head of the Gu family. His status in Zhang City is very high. He is watching the news on television. Beside him was a bald old man dressed in black. This is in Jin's middle stage, and he is obviously an ancient warrior of the Gu family. Not here, Fen Lin muttered in his heart. When he was about to leave, he heard Gu King's words. How about we let Tang Qian try it? If he were a normal person, he would definitely not be able to hear the conversation between the two people inside. But Fen Lin's hearing is not comparable to ordinary people. He turned again and stood here to listen. You can try, but we only have one chance, so you have to think about it, the bald old man said in a deep voice. Gu King did not speak anymore, closed his eyes and meditated. Fen Lin did not get the information he wanted. After waiting here for a long time, the conversation between the two refused to turn to Tang Qian. Fen Lin decided to go ahead and ask in person. Tang Qian must not be in danger. The worst case scenario is that they will pick her up tomorrow, transfer her to another school, and head to Yan City. This way I can live with Tang Huang. She definitely wouldn't be able to adapt to being left alone in this type of family. Thinking of this, Fen Lin walked over with his hands in his trouser pockets. Who? How dare you break into Gu's house? The bald old man noticed someone coming in, immediately stood up and rushed towards Fen Lin. Boom. As soon as he approached Fen Lin, he felt a terrifying pressure fall above him. A loud noise was heard and he suddenly fell to the ground. There were cracks on the marble floors below. When Gu King saw this, his eyes suddenly widened. Mr. Li is the strongest person in his family, and has reached the peak of the mid-dungeon stage. Unexpectedly, he knocked the person down without even touching him. Transformation state. Mr. Li's face moved, and it was definitely not someone who had just entered the realm. What are you going to do to Tang Qian? Fen Lin looked at Gu King and asked sharply. Do you know Tang Qian? Little while remembering that Tang Qian was an ordinary girl with no background. How could I meet a master of this level? Tang Qian is my sister. Let me ask you again, what are you going to do to Tang Qian? Fen Lin took a step forward and his figure appeared in front of Gu King's face. Gu King was so scared that he immediately took a step back and fell onto the sofa. Misunderstanding, we definitely have no intention of harming Qian. Gu King felt huge waves in his heart. Unexpectedly, Tang Qian had such an master by her side. I heard what you just said outside the window. Fen Lin waved his hand and the teacup on the table next to him shattered and exploded. Tell me, otherwise your Gu family will be destroyed. Senior. This belongs to our Gu family. I can't tell you the secret unless you can prove that you are Tang Qian's brother. Gu King's eyes were firm and he did not tell Fen Lin immediately. Aren't you afraid of death? Fen asked. As an old man, I won't live more than a few years, so of course I'm not afraid. Gu King spread his hands freely. Fen Lin sat on the sofa next to him, took off his mask and hat. You can go call Tang Qian. Gu King looked at Fen Lin in front of him, feeling like he had seen him somewhere before, but he couldn't remember. He was too lazy to care and immediately walked away. Ali, are you okay? I'm okay. The bald old man stood up from the ground. Okay, go and call Tang Qian for me, Gu King said. Okay. Bald old man turned and left. Fen Lin crossed his legs and waited quietly here. He was very interested in the affairs of the Gu family. It is obviously a small and ordinary family, but the strongest master is in Jin. Fen Lin wondered why he was willing to die without telling outsiders to protect him. Chapter 247 at WeChat. Fen Lin sat here and waited quietly. After a while, Tang Qian and Gu Duoduo walked in together. Gu Duoduo's voice was heard from a distance. Grandpa, it's very late and we are all ready to go to bed. Why did you ask us to come? When Gu Duoduo and Tang Qian arrived at the villa together, everyone looked on, looking at him in surprise. Xiang Fen Lin, why are you here? Tang Qian was extremely surprised as he remembered that he was not very familiar with the Gu family. What's more, it's already getting late. Even if it's a visit, it must be during the day. Fen Lin, why did you come to my house? Fen Lin rode an electric bicycle and took Gu Duoduo with him. Can you try it now? Fen Lin looked at Gu King next to him. Okay, you two go back. Gu Chen King greeted Gu Duoduo and Tang Qian. Grandpa, what do you mean? You just asked us to come and now you ask us to leave. Gu Duoduo puffed his lips in dissatisfaction. Fen Lin looked at the two of them with a smile. I asked you to come here to confirm my identity. Go back to sleep. Gu Duoduo took Tang Qian's hand. Humph. Let's go. Tang Qian looked back. Fen Lin followed Gu Duoduo and left. Seeing them leave, Gu Chen King got up and went to his room. After a while, he came over with an ancient book made of animal skin and he handed it to Fen Lin. Please take a look. Fen Lin looked at the name on the ancient book and muttered in a low voice, Qian sect. About 50 years ago. An elderly general. Leave the technique to me. Gu Chen King pointed to the ancient book on animal skin. Fen Lin opened it and looked at it. There were several large characters written on it. Positive and negative formula of yin and yang. The old man was dying in that moment. He told me that the sect was destroyed and that those people did it to obtain this ability, Gu Chen King explained. Fen Lin turned back and looked at the acupuncture points where the meridians converged, feeling a little surprised. This technique is so strange. Is this dual cultivation? Fen Lin suddenly said. Sir, it's really incredible. You can tell at a glance. Gu Chen King nodded. Yes, Duoduo is extremely talented. I followed the previous test and found that she is almost a model for the negative pole. Do you want Tang Qian to become the other half? Fen Lin asked. Yes. Duoduo's negative pole has awakened, and people with positive constitutions will naturally be attracted to her. Qian is most likely the positive pole, Gu Chen King nodded. Fen Lin examined the technique and nodded secretly. It was clearly written on it. There is only one chance to practice this technique. If your body cannot adapt, you will never be able to practice this technique again for the rest of your life. However, this does not pose any threat to Tang Qian and Gu Duoduo. After all, they are ordinary people. What are the risks? Fen Lin asked. Of course not. If I fail this time, I won't have the dream. Gu Chen King sighed lightly. It's okay, I believe you. Fen Lin handed the ancient book to Gu Chen King. I hope it works. If not, it's no big deal. Sir, don't worry. If you succeed, the two of them will fully awaken their talents. There will be 2 more strong men, I can guarantee it. When Gu Chen King said this, he felt his blood speed up and his heart beat faster. Let's talk about it when we succeed. Let's go. As soon as Fen Lin finished speaking, his figure disappeared without a trace. Gu Chen King was horrified. This speed was too surprising. As he already entered the master realm. Fen Lin returned to his Wuling Huangwen, left the seat and lay down to rest. Naturally, it is good that Tang Qian can become an ancient warrior. Early the next morning, Fen Lin drove to Yin City. When he reached the door diagonally opposite, he noticed that all the Death Knights were still in his room. Apparently he's still asleep. Only the second teacher was sitting in a wheelchair, admiring the flowers in the garden. Second Master, have you ever heard of Qian sect? Fen Lin approached Men Chengsheng and asked with a smile. Where did you hear that? This powerful sect has been missing for more than 50 years. It is older than your father. Men Chengsheng looked at Fen Lin strangely. I know a person who has the positive and negative formula of yin and yang in his hand and is willing to let people practice it. Fen Lin scratched his head. It won't endanger his life. The secret skill of the Qian sect. Men Chengsheng clicked his tongue. He said, it will not endanger my life. At most, I won't be able to practice. I feel relieved about that. Fen Lin greeted Men Chengsheng and went to Sakam Jin's room. He had just gotten up and was washing his face in the bathroom. Go now. Sakam Jin asked. Yes, Fen Lin nodded. Finally, Fen Lin drove to Wuling Huangwen and took Sakam Jin with him to set off. Anyway, Jiangbai and Jiangnan are next to each other and can be reached to them before noon. Jiangnan, Gashi. Compared with Jiangbai, here is full of streams and lakes. Jiangnan's overall economic strength is also stronger than that of Jiangbai. Hotel and got off the car with Sakam Jin. The two of them were wearing peaked caps to slightly disguise themselves. After all, they are celebrities in the eyes of Jialand. In the afternoon, we will split up to search for the ancient warriors. Fen Lin took Sakam Jin to the street in search of a stewed chicken shop. This is Sakam Jin's favorite food. He remembered very clearly when he rescued Sakam Jin from that organization. The first time I brought him something, he ate braised chicken. As the two walked on the street, people looked at them from time to time. Of course, almost everyone looked at Sakam Jin as long been accustomed to it. The two saw a braised chicken restaurant. Fen Lin and Sakam Jin walked in together. "Boss, 2 big portions of spicy food," Fen Lin said to the boss as soon as he entered. "Okay." Jin in surprise, unable to believe that such a perfect face actually existed in the world. Not only him, but also several guests sitting here were stunned. This is too beautiful and heroic, almost suitable for both men and women. Lin took out 2 bottles of Coca-Cola from the refrigerator. The two had just sat down when a young man with earrings sat next to Sakam Jin with a smile. He smiled and took out his mobile phone and said, "Beauty, add me on WeChat." "Get lost," Sakam Jin said expressionlessly. "Haha, you have such a bad temper, I like it." The young man smiled, took the keys to a Porsche out of his pocket and put them on the table. "I'll take you for a drive. Don't you understand?" Fen Lin also slammed his keys on the table as he spoke. Wanwei was scared at first when he saw how domineering Fen Lin was. After all, being able to have dinner with such a beautiful person must mean that you have something. Capital. But when he saw the mark on the key, he started laughing. Ha ha ha. How dare the Wuling Huangwen pretend to be angry in front of me? Wanwei looked disdainful. At least my car is real. Who knows if your car is real or fake? Fen Lin pursed his lips. When you came in, didn't you see the Porsche Cayenne at the door? Wanwei took the key and waited in front of Fen Lin. Look carefully. Attention, I don't have a lighter. Right now, Si Kongjin stood up from his seat. He stood up, looked at Wanwei next to him and said, "Let's go." Wanwei laughed loudly and showed Fen Lin the middle finger. How dare you find a girlfriend when you drive? A Wuling Huangwen. Let's get your money. Fen Lin was not angry, he just shook his head slightly. Head and Sakam Jin started again. Chapter 248. You are too honest. Anyway, they had just ordered food, so they just cooperated. What the hell? Shameless person, what is your promise? Fen Lin slammed the table angrily and followed them. What a waste. Where will you go if you don't have money? Wanwei smiled disdainfully at Fen Lin. He had just walked to the door of the restaurant when he found a woman with shoulder-length hair entering. This short-haired woman is about 20 years old. She is pretty, with a standard oval face, and wears normal jeans and a loose white blouse. When she saw Wanwei, she immediately went cold and said, "Why did you come to my house again? I told you a long time ago that I don't like you." "Wenning, who do you think you are? Do you think you are beautiful?" Wanwei looked at the woman in front of him and immediately looked at Sakam Jin flutteringly. "Beauty, I have nothing to do with her." Fen Lin, who was following her, understood. It turns out that this man came here to chase this woman. Wenning looked at Sakam Jin, his eyes full of surprise. Unexpectedly, Wanwei met such a beautiful woman. But that's okay, it saves you the trouble of continuing to bother me. No. Don't go. Fen Lin followed them and left. Everyone who was still eating got up and followed him. They couldn't help but want to see this kind of excitement. "Beauty, this is my car. I just bought it not long ago." Wanwei pressed the car key, and the lights of the black Porsche flashed a few times. He opened the passenger door in a very gentlemanly manner. Sakam Jin leaned down and prepared to sit on it. "No. I will buy the goods to support you," Fen Lin couldn't help but shout from behind. Click. As soon as Sakam Jin's feet landed on the car, the iron sheet of the car sank deeply into him. The front hood lifted and all the engine oil and other fluids inside flowed down. Sakam Jin immediately retracted his legs and took a few steps back. "Is your car a scrap car?" Fen Lin smiled and shook his head. Sakam Jin used it countless times when going on missions. Known as a luxury car destroyer. Ha ha ha. It turns out to be a second-hand garbage truck. Fen Lin walked over with a smile. "I can afford this. This is a first-hand car. I just bought it. If you don't believe me, look at the production date." Wanwei was a little scared. I could not believe it. Could they have fooled him? Is this the quality of a first-hand car? "Don't tell me it was too heavy and crushed your car with its foot," Fen Lin said, pointing at Sakam Jin. "I think it's a modified garbage truck, just to fool some women who don't know anything about cars." "Yes, I thought he was a rich man, but he turned out to be a liar." "Brother, where was I? Was it modified? Please introduce it." Others around him stared. If it were a real car, how could it have this quality? Farth. This is a real car. It costs $1 million. Wanwei's face turned red. He must have been deceived. It was the people from the forest store who used the crashed car to deceive him. He would never have thought that Sakam Jin would trample him. "I was wrong, Sakam Jin." He looked at Fen Lin expressionlessly. "Forget it, I forgive you." Fen Lin shrugged with a smile and took Sakam Jin back to the tent. When everyone around saw this, their eyes were filled with disdain and everyone was talking in a low voice. "This man is a coward. He deserves to be cheated on even if he forgives a woman like that. Maybe this guy is just playing for fun. Shit. Yes, you're playing for free with such a beautiful girl. It turns out that this guy is in 5th place. Cloak, Fen Lin and Sakam Jin leaned back in their seats. Wen Ning bought 2 portions of stewed chicken. She looked at Sakam Jin with some disdain. What's the use of being beautiful? If others have money, just run with them. She is the one who despises this kind of people the most. She looked at Fen Lin again. This kind of man deserved it. This kind of woman should just be told to go away. Sakam Jin didn't care about the eyes. The others, he lowered his head and started to eat. The same goes for Fen Lin. After the 2 finished eating, Fen Lin gave them money and left with Sakam Jin. When they left the store, Wan Hui found a crane and took the Porsche. Beauty, don't go. I have a BMW at home. Wan Hui saw Sakam coming out and walked over shamelessly. His BMW is a real car and he has been driving it for several years. Get lost. Sakam Jin said coldly and followed Fen Lin. Zig. Fen Lin raised his. Wan Hui was so angry that he had to complain to this 4S store. The top-notch beauties I got just flew away. Fen Lin and Sakam Jin arrived at a intersection in the distance. Fen Lin went east and Sakam Jin went backwards. The 2 agreed to meet in front of their car at dusk. Fen Lin put on his hat, put his hands in his pants pockets and walked down the street. Feel the fluctuations around you. If he really couldn't find it, he could only ask Wen Runji for help. Unknowingly, it was already late. Fen Lin had been shopping for several hours and didn't feel the ancient warrior. Mainly because the city is too much. Forget it, let's go back. Fen Lin took out his cell phone and was about to ask Sakam Jin how he was there. If you can't find it either, go and meet in front of the car. I was going to visit Wenren's house. Huh. Is that you? Just as Fen Lin took out his cell phone, a beautiful woman with short hair walked over from the nearby community. He greeted Fen Lin. Fen Lin turned around and saw that this woman was the waitress from the braised chicken restaurant. I remember his name is Wen Ning. Hello, do you live here? Fen Lin greeted with a smile. I want to live here too, but I can't afford a house. Wen Ning pointed to the Wulinghuang mini tram next to her. I'm here to deliver food. Fen Lin nodded and asked strangely, why don't you wear yellow robes and blue robes? I only ship my braised chicken, which means I have 2 busy days on Saturday and Sunday. Wen Ning sat in the electric car, hesitated for a moment, and then said, I don't want to say more about you, but you are too honest. Fen Lin said with a smile. My girlfriend praises me for being honest. What should I say about you? Your girlfriend is scolding you. She is not a good person. Wen Ning sighed deeply. Forget it, I have another order. That family is very strange. I can't be late. Strange. Fen Lin touched his chin and asked, what's strange? That family ate our braised chicken for 2 days in a row. The parents seemed to be very afraid of their children. As soon as Wen Ning finished speaking, Fen Lin opened the passenger door and squeezed. What are you doing? Get down. Wen Ning pushed Fen Lin, looking a little nervous. Don't be nervous, I just want to listen to you, love expert, give me a lecture. Be very respectful to the child. It is very likely though he is not a child, but his boss. For example, if Tong Yu brings 2 subordinates, they must be respectful. He was going to go take a look. I am not an expert in love, but you are too honest. Wen Ning sighed, started the tram, and said lightly, my name is Wen Ning. Fen Lin. Fen Lin, that woman is just using you. Like an ATM. As long as you find a rich man, he will leave you immediately. Wen Ning looked at Fen Lin, feeling a little unhappy. He obviously looks quite good and is tall. Why do such good men always meet scumbags? Chapter 249 I have 3 years of scrubbing experience. Fen Lin didn't even hear the other party's words, but was thinking about whether they were in the same month. If so, do you want to catch her? Wen Ning saw Fen Lin's thoughtful look and continued, listen to me and finish. Do you have a boyfriend? Fen Lin asked casually. What the hell, I just want to make money now, not fall in love. Wen Ning shook his head slightly. Although he was not old, his mentality was very mature. He majored in finance and when he was a sophomore he used his pocket money to speculate in stocks and made a fortune. Immediately buy a Hupo chicken restaurant in Gushi that is about to close. Make the store come to life through online sales. Now the net interest rate in January is almost 4 to 5,000. She alone pays for school. Haha, normally people who say this kind of thing must have no money or love. Fen Lin crossed his arms and looked at Wen Ning with a smile. My heart hurts. Wen Ning smiled bitterly. He drove to a street where rich people lived and finally stopped in front of a small villa. Fen Lin showed a smile, and it was actually an Aster in the Divine Realm. It is undoubtedly the land of Jiao. Wait here. Wen Ning took out 3 portions of braised chicken from the box in the back seat, got out of the car with a bag, and rang the doorbell. From a distant village came a middle-aged man with half-white hair. He was wearing a suit and his expression was dull. After taking the braised chicken, he immediately turned around without saying a word. Fen Lin raised his chin and narrowed his eyes slightly, considering whether he should take action. Okay, the delivery is finally over. I'm going back to rest. Where are you going? I'll see you off. Wen Ning got into the car and looked at Fen Lin with a smile. I'll get off the car here. After chatting with you for a while, I suddenly realized that I don't want to be an honest person. Fen Lin opened the door and got out of the car with a smile. Be more mature and don't think that if you are not an honest person, you have to be a scumbag. Just be more careful. Wen Ning greeted Fen Lin and walked away with a smile. Fen Lin looked at Wen Ning's back on the tram and shook his head slightly. This woman is quite good. Chatting with her makes people feel very comfortable. There's no arrogance like Zhuang, no inferiority complex like Zhao King. It's mostly a bit flat, Fen Lin commented, sneaking in from the back of the villa. This villa is not big, similar to the small courtyard in his hometown. He quietly approached the window, put his ear against the wall and listened carefully. Just listen to the sound of eating. Fen Lin thought for a moment and decided to enter. After entering the living room of the villa, the 3 people inside looked at Fen Lin, and Fen Lin also looked at them. I didn't expect it to be you. Fen Lin thought it was the same month. However, he guessed wrong. The girl inside was Lian Dai. I met her when I was at Wei's house. She is now dressed in the same outfit as before, with a jumpsuit, twin pigtails, dark circles under her eyes, and dark red lips. Run. Lian Dai took the lunchbox and threw it at Fen Lin's face. Brush. Fen Lin's figure dodged, and in an instant, he approached Lian Dai, grabbed her collar, and lifted her off the sofa. Run. Lian Dai weakly kicked his legs, but still roared. The man and woman in front of them looked at each other, one from the door, the other from the window, and fled separately. In the blink of an eye, comedic turned here. It's interesting that he let his subordinates leave first. Fen Lin threw Lian Dai on the sofa. His body bounced off the couch and rolled to the floor. I thought you were just Yishin's little brother before, but I didn't expect you to be a worthy mortuary doctor. Lian Dai rubbed his neck with his hands and looked at Fen Lin suspiciously. Don't be nervous, you can't escape anyway. Fen Lin sat on the sofa and said with a slight smile, "Were you considered a big shot in the second sect? Whatever you ask of me, I will do it. I'm not telling you that you want to kill. Just kill him." Lian Dai simply sat on the ground and did not get up. "Are you not an adult yet?" Fen Lin asked. "Yes, if you're a gentleman, let me go and I promise that I will owe you a favor in the future." Lian Dai also relaxed. Fen Lin was right, he couldn't escape. The 13 earthly evil spirits of their second sect died in Fen Lin's hands, which is enough to show how powerful Fen Lin is. "Sorry, I like the little Lolita. Your appearance is just what I like." Fen Lin grabbed Lian Dai's arms and exerted a little force. Click. Dislocating his arm. Lian Dai took a deep breath and cried in pain, but did not scream. Tolerated completely. Not bad, very energetic. Fen Lin undid his suspenders and took off his pants while humming a tune. It seems that Lian Dai is considered a doll. It's shameful that a high-ranking member of the secret army would do something so disgusting. Lian Dai tried his best to keep her calm, but his voice couldn't stop shaking. Don't put a high hat on me. The Night of Death was disbanded a long time ago. Now I'm just an ordinary man. Fen Lin stopped and said expressionlessly, "Where is the traitor Disha?" "Humph. Aside from the Disha, there are actually traitors." Lian Dai snorted, this news must have been told to him by someone else in Jia land. Fen Lin grabbed Lian Dai by the neck and took her to the bathroom. When he reached the bathroom, Fen Lin filled the pool with water. "What are you going to do? Drown me? Come on." Lian Dai gritted his teeth and roared. "Don't think I'm that bad. I don't have any hobbies. I just like bathing girls." Fen Lin's words made Lian Dai's eyes widen. She roared angrily and released her dark energy, wanting to smash the pool into pieces. But Fen Lin was well prepared. He took out 3 silver needles from his belt and stabbed Lian Dai with precision. "Blocks the flow of qi." Lian Dai struggled several times and roared, "Fen Lin. Kill me if you can." Fen Lin hummed a tune and said nothing. He tested the water temperature and felt pretty good. "I was wrong. We just arrived and we don't know where the 25 evil spirits are," Lian Dai pleaded, his body trembling with fear. Fen Lin nodded. It turned out to be the 25 Disha. "Where is Jialan's base camp?" Fen Lin asked again. Liandai gritted his teeth and moved his throat a few times, but he didn't say anything. TSK, take a bath. Fen Lin put Liandai into the pool. Liandai bit his mouth tightly and closed his eyes tightly, but did not speak. Fen Lin was also surprised and wondered how Jia Lan was brainwashed. At that moment, he heard his phone vibrate. But this is not my phone. He immediately came to the living room and took out a white mobile phone from Liandai's pants pocket. After being connected, Fen Lin did not speak. Sir, on the way to Wenren's house, we met people from the third sect and we all retreated. A young man's voice came and he obviously didn't know what was going on here. After Fen Lin finished listening, he hung up the phone. Unexpectedly, they prioritized searching for Wenren Jia. Fen Lin returned to the bathroom and said with a smile, "Let me change the question, do you live together in Jia Land?" "No," Liandai said expressionlessly. "Then I won't ask about your sect. I want to know where the ninth sect is." Fen Lin squatted next to Liandai. "I have already given up. I hope you will give me face." Don't refuse yet. I'll give you 10 seconds. Fen Lin continued to press Liandai. "By the way, I have 3 years of bathroom experience and I promise not to miss every corner." Chapter 250. Keeping your word is your default. I won't tell. I won't betray the land of Jiao, nor the god of Jiao. Liandai said loudly, "If I tell you, I will become a sinner." "What the? Since you are God, why don't you dare to tell the address?" Fen Lin asked. "The god of the 9 netherworlds is still resurrected. If I give you the direction, I will definitely let Vegeta attack him in one fell swoop." Liandai shook his head vigorously. "I won't say it. I won't say it." "Hey, what bother?" Fen Lin sighed deeply. "Put on all of Liandai's clothes." Fen Lin threw her on the sofa and must not beat Liandai now. She is a big shot in the land of the 9 netherworlds and will be used sooner or later. The dark circles under Liandai's eyes were very obvious and his eyes were swollen from crying. Since Fen Lin didn't lie, he really did sit on the sofa blankly, seemingly losing his soul. "And I wanted to die now. How will I see people in the future?" He looked at Fen Lin, his eyes full of murderous intent. If there was a way to die with Fen Lin now, he would definitely not hesitate. Jinan asked her to meet at the car. He also approached Liandai, grabbed her shoulders with both hands, and lifted her up forcefully. "Click. Join your arms. I'll kill you." After discovering that he could move his hands, Liandai punched Fen Lin like crazy. Fen Lin stopped her easily. "Looking at you, are you ready to wash it again?" Fen Lin looked at her coldly. Liandai gritted his teeth, shed tears, and clenched his voice between his teeth. "Fen Lin, you'd better kill me, otherwise you will regret it. I don't know what is good or bad, my bathing skills will be confiscated. Everything is fine." Fen Lin grabbed Liandai, hugged her in front of him, and disappeared here. Parking space in front of the hotel. Sikam Jin had already arrived here a moment before. Liandai looked at Sikam Jin in front of him, and naturally knew that this was the number 4 of the Dead Knight. Liu Nian said a lot about his information. He is a very low-key person, with a strength and a top-notch talent. Completely capable of entering the Gengan diagram. However, he found it too troublesome and did not participate. "I caught a big fish in the land of Jia." Fen Lin put Liandai and his arms on the ground. "I'm thinking about giving it to the country directly." Liandai's eyes trembled when she heard this. Legion imprisonment, there's almost no chance of escape for her in this life. "You decide," Sikam Jin said calmly. He gently pinched Liandai's cheek and asked with a smile, "What do you think?" "HNPH." Liandai pushed Fen Lin and said viciously, "Despicable and shameless. Vulgar and disgusting." Fen Lin left. "You're still scolding me, but we're already close to each other." "You. Shameless." Liandai roared angrily and kicked Fen Lin. "Get in the car first." Fen Lin threw the car keys to Sikam Jin and he opened the back door. "Lift Liandai together." Fen Lin looked at Liandai next to him, his expression gradually becoming serious. "Let me tell you clearly, you're a big shot, I won't let you go easily. Kill if you want. Don't think I'm afraid of you." Liandai was cold. "Hun. Tell me the location of the 9th sect and I will let you go. Otherwise, I can only send you to the country." Fen Lin put his arm around Liandai's shoulders and continued, "Think about it carefully. If you can leave in the future, you will have the opportunity to take revenge on me and even give me a bath." Liandai was so angry that his teeth were itchy with hatred. "Who would give you a bath?" "Then I will make you a eunuch." Her eyes flashed and she was very confused. What is certain is that it fell into the hands of the top brass of the Hidden Legion. There was no way she could get out. The current Jia land is far from being able to compete with a country. "I'll give you 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, it will be too late for you to regret it. Fen Lin personally expected her to tell him the address of the ninth sect. In this way, he could leave the Night of Death and put pressure directly. He is still no match for the powerful sect in front of him, but the ninth sect should be easier to deal with. What if I tell you and you don't let me go? Lian Dai suddenly asked. When Fen Lin heard that there was a turn of events, he raised the corners of his mouth slightly. I am gentleman, you are Farth. Lian Dai looked at Fen Lin coldly. Fen Lin pinched Lian Dai's cheek and asked calmly, you should know that since you're a little girl, I haven't hurt you a hair. Lian Dai pushed Fen Lin's hand away, secretly clutching his fists. Although he didn't want to admit it, Fen Lin was telling the truth. 5 minutes will be here soon, Fen Lin reminded. Okay. I'll tell you the location of the ninth sect. Lian Dai took a deep breath. Did you tell me you would let me go immediately? Who knows if you lied to me? I need to get paid. There is something of interest here. Fen Lin patted his leg. Sit down. What do you want to do? Lian Dai looked cautious. Hurry up. Fen Lin grabbed Lian Dai's ear and asked him to sit on his lap. He took out his mobile phone and handed it to Sikam Jin in the front row. Sikam Jin understood the idea carefully, turned on the video, and pointed at them. You, put me down. Lian Dai's face was full of embarrassment and anger. Don't worry, as long as you don't lie to me, this video will never be released. Fen Lin hugged Lian Dai, rubbed Lian Dai's cheek with his own, and said, smile. Lian Dai's face was uglier than crying. Little cutie, behave well from now on. Fen Lin grabbed Lian Dai's twin tails and shook them from side to side as if he was driving a steering wheel. Dai also swayed. That's enough. Lian Dai blushed and became furious. Fen Lin gestured to Sikam Jin. Sikam Jin put away the video and turned off his phone. The ninth sect is in the middle of Yunqian Mountain in China, near the Ella River. Lian Dai opened the map on his mobile phone and told Fen Lin the specific coordinates. There's a village nearby called Gu. Fen Lin looked at the map and nodded secretly. Okay. After saying that, he took out the silver needle and stimulated the intersection of several of his meridians. The qi in Lian Dai's body began to flow again. I keep my word. Leave Fen Lin open the back door. You can take revenge on me, but don't hurt innocent people again. Lian Dai immediately ran out and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lian Dai, who was hiding in the corner, looked at Wu Ling Huangwing secretly, punched the wall, and burst into tears. Fen Lin. Just wait for me. Keeping your word is your default. Sikam Jin threw the phone to Fen Lin. Don't worry, this deficiency varies from person to person. Fen Lin smiled and put the phone in his pocket. Go and smell people. I don't know the way. Sikam Jin turned around and said. I don't know him either. Fen Lin looked embarrassed. Finally, Fen Lin paid for a taxi and went to Wen Ren's house. Sikam Jin followed him in his car. The southern suburbs of Gu City. I heard someone's family is here. This is a huge mansion, and behind the mansion is the small lake in Gashi. The air is clear and the scenery is beautiful. Fen Lin and Sikam Jin arrived at the gate of the mansion together. I'm looking for Wen Renxing. You said Fen Lin is looking for him, Fen Lin said to the security guard. My husband is not here, said the main security guard. Wen Renxing should be here, right? Fen Lin asked again. The lady is not here either. Just as the security guard finished speaking, a middle-aged woman approached from a distance. She had long dyed brown hair and a somewhat rich face. The figure is also a little plump, but well cared for. Who are you looking for? The woman walked over and asked. Lady. When the security guard saw this woman, he immediately lowered his head. Hello, I'm Fen Lin. What? Are you Fen Lin? Ren Yongqiao hurried. End of this chapter. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This story is completely available on Patreon. I invite you to subscribe and enjoy all the content.